Cool. So we're recording now, and as we talked about, we'll plan to make the recording public. If anything gets said that you think shouldn't be public, then let me know and we'll stop the recording right then and we'll start a new recording. And if we don't stop the recording, we'll just plan to make it public. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, as we were saying, great to connect. I was, checking out the different things you're involved with on the board of and everything. And I really love the world that you're creating around you and that you've created around you. I honor you, brother, for who you are and what you're doing in the world, bro. It's really great.
Thank you, thank you. It's it's taken a lot of challenges, a lot of pains. It's a long journey, and I'm sure you know because I was checking out your content and your vision and how you're going about resolving certain certain problems in society. And I think that you have a very fluid solution, and it's synergistic by design, and that's what we need. So a lot of a lot of resonance between what you're doing and how I see things.
That's awesome, brother. I really appreciate you saying that. And that's the journey I'm on right now. It's just like putting it out there to find the people like you that like are really tuned into that vibe. And together we are going to create this. And that's freaking amazing, you know?
Correct, correct, correct. I'm playing with the positioning of this, see if I get a better angle.
Yeah, no worries.
But
I see Milina's joining us.
all right.
Hey, Milina, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
So good, so good, so great to have you join us. I just want to repeat since I mentioned it earlier,
What's
we're
up, Milina?
we're going to make the recording public, and if anything gets said that shouldn't be public, then let me know so we can cut the recording right there and start a new recording. And if we don't stop the recording, we'll just plan to make everything public. So sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, great to have you join us, Milena. We were just kind of exchanging compliments with each other about how we appreciate each other's worlds and what we're creating. And I really honor you and appreciate you, Milena, for bringing us together, and being the connector in this case. It's a really, when I feel that every, things are so divinely orchestrated around me that when I connect with somebody like Yasser, that's, we're operating at the same vibration and we haven't even talked, but we know that already. And then, you can come and bring people like us together. Like, I feel it's such divine orchestration here all around. So I honor and appreciate both of you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
thank you.
happy
It's
that
truly
everyone's on a common accord.
it's truly a gift that Melina has had since I met her, just to identify energies and connect them. And that's pivotal for a vision like yours, and mine. She's been instrumental to so many connections, so many uh, portals.
That's wonderful. That's so great to hear. That's a great testament to Melina. Awesome. That's so great. And I want to hear, I checked out the different sites and stuff, but I want to hear, your vision and where you're at and what you're up to, from you. So I'm tuned into what you want to share with me, what your priorities are, what your flow is, and where you see the interest in uniting for action and how it fits in your world and how you can, all of it. Lay it on me, bro.
All right, all right. Well, this isn't rehearsed. I don't have the elevator pitch.
No,
So I've been forming this from from a fragmented vision. It's something that's been unifying since I had an awakening episode, approximately around the time I met Milina.
Give me a time frame, so I'm giving, ranging in there.
2013, 2014,
This
2012.
December 21st, 2012 is the date that I felt confident making it official. I think, certain things happened to me around 2008 with real estate. I was involved in real estate and I suffered a big loss financially while I was still part of the program. And that was a catalyst for an awakening, for digging, for finding out answers, what happened, how do I get out of this, what's next. And I think all the answers came at the same time. What was next was purpose. And
How you doing?
so what was next was purpose, and it was a matter of a process of finding myself, finding what that purpose was, how to activate myself, and what did I really want, what did I really love, what did I really appreciate. Because until we know ourselves, we can't even answer those questions. So that was that. So I began to utilize some of my just natural abilities to have a divergent mindset, structured mindset. I can just see things. I can see the wide scope of things, and how to put that into service here. So I began to just but it was a combination of that and just letting the wind take me at the same time. So I would say most of what has created this momentum has been synchronistic and synergistic. And most of my work has been spent in structural work, and then just keeping afloat in this crazy world. So certain, like my image is not unified because of that. It's hard for you to just approach my website and figure it out. It's really hard, because I haven't defined it. It's something that I figured I would define once I got somewhere. I was just following the north, following the the shining light of purpose to my spirit, and at the same time undergoing a much needed process of self-mastery. So I was just projecting that onto the company. I said, this is nice, an opportunity to to elevate myself, utilize my awakening, and go to work, just chop wood, carry water, just improve myself, fill my cup, and then and give. Giving became a big part of my life as part of my healing process. That's how I ended up involved in so many nonprofits. It was just a healing process for myself, and that became a lifestyle. But I was a benefactor in that. And what else? Any questions so far?
No, I really
I don't
honor
know.
you
I
and
don't know.
appreciate the journey that you're sharing, the journey you've been on, and it really helps me, get a sense of what the road has been like for you and the building process, like you said, and a lot of times um, the chopping wood part of it. And so I totally,
All day chop wood. That's 80% of it. The intellectual are just flashes that come and give me the work, and then I go do the work. I assign myself the task, but I spend more time on the field because we're entering a paradigm that very few people feel it and can embody it. So you can't expect to, just find somebody. You just got to learn many, many things, and I took it upon myself to learn many things I didn't know how to do to enhance things that I did know. Having a corporate background helped me in at least creating a sense of structure here in this independent world and help others do it. And in the process, I realized that our economic system is not cyclical. It's linear and it's finite. And, any Joe Blow in the community that has a functional system that's bartering and creating synergy, you can actually create an economic model between the right sectors. So my personality just had me attracting at that phase of my life artists, even though I had never been an artist or creative. I was attracting nonprofits because obviously, once you lend a hand, the word spreads. Hey, this guy, and this guy can put together a little package, and things like that greatly help somebody that's just starting off. And at the same time, help me become familiar with this world and become better at it, working with people that can help me, that I can help, and at the same time have hands-on training on a new thing and something, a new world, new nuances and protocols and whatnot. So I got the hunch that I was functioning within a new system that was just, and that it was scalable. It was an economic triangulation between sectors that play a key role in society, the corporate sector, brands, private brands, the nonprofit sector, as well as for-profit, cost-based organizations, and the entertainment and the social influencers, and the, there's a lot of there's symbiosis or trimbiosis. I don't know if that's the word, with between three agents, and the technology and society is advancing so fast. We're not taking time to study how to really make good of these things. It's moving faster exponentially than people's attention spans can keep up. So, but I'm kind of like a madman. So I spent a lot of time doing research and just on my own, and eliminated distractions and just stay the course, like an ant. And I've found ways that new territory to me. But I think we're all on the same page in this world, because so much technology. But I feel like I'm creating systems for project management, for to create synergy partnerships, to create mutual benefit partnerships, synergy partnerships, pretty much. And it's working, and there's a lot of real life. There are real life scenarios of this happening. However, I haven't gotten down to going back and kind of documenting, and obviously, not all the parts that I'm involved with are aware of each other. So it's kind of like still in my head, how because I have to not just identify them, or they identify me. And that's one thing I've been able to do, is just to keep I'm only engaging things that I like, and that move my spirit, right? So that's the only way I can really get the most out of myself. But I have to engage at whatever level I engage with them. Sometimes I get hired to just clean this up. I'll do that, and before you know it, we're talking bigger things. And now I identify a player in this sphere, in this ecosystem. And first thing I do is introduce them to other things, and kind of like open them up to they see that a relationship with me is going to be not just a one-on-one. It's going to be I'm bringing a battalion. I have things, and usually these things come up as people say, I need this, oh, I have that, because the nature of this walk has brought me a vast network. And I don't remember faces well, but I remember what people do, within their energy field, So immediately you tell me, hey, I'm doing this in my house, I'm doing this bathroom, boom, Joe comes to mind. I just met him sometimes, it's, and I like to play in that world. Things do work, it's an anti-matrix revolution at the same time, because I don't, it's the protocols that I was mentored under, that I academically was trained under, I'm like, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's a new world, and we have to figure it out. We have to figure it out, and this is what we have to work with. And so it's taken me to interesting places, meet interesting people, go through some really dark phases, some really trenches, some deep trenches and tunnels. But here we are, feeling like it's worth it. I have a partner, which is the O in the Yo, Oyuki. Oyuki Roger. So it's Yasser, Oyuki, Synergy, but we, it makes nice language as well. And yeah, that's the gist of it.
That's awesome. That's really, really great. Wow, there's so much I want to share.
Well, where'd that come from?
Just kind of acknowledge you. I just want to see, Milina, I want to let you say whatever you want to say and show whatever you want to show. Do you mind stopping sharing for a moment so I can talk to Yasser in a bigger screen and see him, and then we can go to the sharing part?
Sure.
Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Cool. So you're gonna stop the screen sharing?
Working on it right now.
Okay. Got it.
Nice flower.
I'm gonna switch it for a moment just to get it off, and then we can talk, and then we can go.
You don't have a time limit on this, right? This is
No worries. So, okay, I got it off for now, Milina. We'll put it back on when we need it there. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge all of that you shared, because that was a lot, and there's a lot, of reflection there with me and with you, and I want to just, be with all of that. I really honor and appreciate the way that you see the world, the way we see the world similarly, right? In these systems, and then we're, doing these systems, and then, I get more of why, and I'm really excited to show you the Uniting Fraction system to let you see how I've figured out how to systematize all of this stuff, and to give someone like you the tools that are going to let you systematize your world, like that. And then, in your systems, it becomes an app that then people license from you, and you're, making all kinds of money in on referrals. I mean, there's just so many streams of revenue for the value that you're creating in the world. And that's what I've been working on, because as you know, it's like there hasn't been an alignment between how we're exchanging value in the world and how the value gets the flows from it, right? Like the one thing I think you probably saw in the one video, which I know is just a huge game changer, is just putting that third party, that connector, in the middle of every transaction, right? And by doing that, not only just one person, but all of the people that contributed to putting that buyer together with a seller. And when we have people doing queries to find what they're looking for, and their friends were a fractional result of the query that they did, then their friend gets a fraction. And there's even, I went to some extreme ways yesterday. I don't know if we'll go that deep in this conversation. We'll see. I'm sure we're going to go deep in different parts. I'm not sure about this one, but we went into the depth of how, and I'll just say it to start and you'll get it, is we're working towards, like what I'm working towards as a vision of where this is going, is where we are speaking innovation, creativity, everything that we can out of our mouth into the open world without fear that someone's going to take it and profit off of it, and with us losing, that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that's so stifling in our society right now. If you think about the difference between our society, where everything is intellectual property trapped behind patents and all kinds of things that mean that you can't use innovations, without going through, some narrow, portal that holder has.
These systems, they can't keep up. They can't keep up with the speed of advancement. They just can't keep these, all this paperwork. It's archaic.
Exactly. It's archaic. It's like caveman compared to where we're going. Because when we can just speak our innovation into the universe, and it's captured and it's recorded and it's broken down, and anything that ends up getting created of value or of monetization will flow back to that person in an appropriate percentage. So we're just constantly flowing into the world, and the value return is just automatically constantly flowing back to us without us having to think about it all, right?
It's kind of like an NFT component.
I'm in the short term,
trailing the purchases, transactions, and just maintaining that automatically and keeping a trail, and that's keeping that sacred and intact.
Yeah. Just to mention something about that for me personally, just so you get where my head is at around all these things, like the fact that we just spoke that now and recorded it, now we can put that little snippet in a place here where people can go ahead and put in, it should be an NFT, this is how you're going to do it, or no, here's another structure you can do. We had a thought, and that thought becomes a fertile ground for the thoughts that flow from it, right?
Correct.
And that's
you're catching it real time.
Catching it in real time, putting it out there, allowing people to respond. We're creating collective real-time thinking with this model, besides everything else.
Watching your video is when I realized the potentiality, because I'm an avid researcher of AI, and I like to play with it a lot, and I don't feel threatened by it. but the way you married, because I can't obviously envision everything you did with AI in this project, but it's genius. I understand now how much we can push the threshold, how far we can now push what used to be limitations, because now, and I see this automation that you're saying is totally attainable, and one of the best ideas I've heard in terms of coming up with a systemic solution. Really.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And that's the thing, is that the the way that the opportunity that this presents for us in order to leverage AI, like you're saying, that's kind of one of the crazy things is, we know AI is blowing up the world and all of that. But currently, AI is trying to make order out of this complete disorganized mess of information that we have strewn across
and
the
that's
internet.
why she's a threat. That's why she's a threat, because she's, she's thinks straight. Objective.
But the thing is the best that AI is going to get to do is going to be to try to make sense out of a mess. And the thing is when the world gets that systematization is like something you would want to do first, like that's about to be the big thing. Systematization is actually about to catch fire through society even more than AI has, because it's much more attainable. And we're about to publish the system that allows the systematization of anything. Here are the tools, systematize what you do, and it's connected with everything else. Yeah. So it's gonna, our whole world is about to get systematized almost overnight. And that's the strategy that we'll talk about and everything. But I really appreciate that you see it so clearly, and you get now, because when you have systematized data, now the AI can go to work in all kinds of different ways for us, because it has data to make real statistical analytical decisions based on, right? It's not like trying to
terminals that otherwise wouldn't connect.
Yeah, it's not trying to infer some data out of a mess that it's trying to look at. It actually has the raw data all the time. So we're essentially, what we're about to do is create a system that allows all of the data of all of society to come into the one collective global brain and be available to everyone the way that it should, with the proper permissions and proper monetization and all of that. But it all happens in one place so that society doesn't have to jerk around with any nonsense anymore.
This is excellent. And what's the well, I don't want to get ahead with technical questions, but yeah, I get it so far. I see it. I see the need. I see how it is a solution. I see how it's viable, and I see how it's valuable. So,
thank you, brother. I really appreciate all of that. I want to take a moment, because Milina had her hand up before and then she wanted to share, and I apologize, Milina, for going a little bit longer. But you want to show that to us now, Milina, or mention whatever you want to mention if you can hear us? All right, when she comes back, we'll give her that opportunity again. So yeah, like there's obviously so many different aspects I could talk about, in so many different ways. Actually, let me turn my fan on real quick. Hold on one second. Okay, so obviously, there's like so many different paths I can go down in terms of going into details with you. Are there any like big questions that you have, like would be helpful for me to kind of answer for you to get a better sense of any of the big aspects of this? Or you want me to give you just an overview, like 30,000-foot view of Uniting for Action, what we're doing, or what would be most helpful for you to, go do it?
I think the 30,000-foot view is my natural, my natural comfort place for assimilation. Really, my brain just likes to deconstruct. So even if I was getting it in pieces, I'm just waiting to put it all together in my head anyways, So yeah, but I like to see the big scope. I feel like your vision stems from a similar place that made me go my direction. It was just transferred into your set of, your who you are and how, your world. But I believe that it comes from a similar DNA, I would say, of thought. And that helps me assimilate a lot. and obviously it's meant to be. I think that's the number one source of resonance is when something is meant, the spirit will say yes. But yeah, the top view is probably the best thing. And then I'll ask questions from that.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And
Milina's
perfect.
back.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and perfect timing that Milina's back now. So Milina, while you were away, oh, you can't hear? Can you hear?
Yes, you were saying?
Okay, yeah. So while you were away, I took a pause to see, and I apologize it went on so long, to let you say whatever you wanted to share when you raised your hand and share what you were sharing on the screen. Definitely want to have you, involved and participating. I just, wanted to have that moment with Yasser before we jumped into something else.
I acknowledge and appreciate you taking the time to hone in on that. Pretty much what I was doing is I was pulling up on behalf of Mr. Heyaime past projects that he was a part of with Synergy as he was moving through in regards to programs he's put together alongside his partner, in addition to back records I have of brainstorming sessions and pulling up sheets of contacts throughout the last 10, 11 years. And as you were discussing, not only how in real time these ideas are plucked from the air as we speak them, not only from an etheric or energetic aspect, but a practical one in terms of those that are in touch with technology or have the structures of marketing and also creation, how that is able to streamline easily with these back stored projects into something that is tangible, which led me into what I was saying. From what I hear is that mostly this is a network where we are assimilating and disassembling what everyone's strong points are with their tactile skill sets as they have been created in practices in each individual, I guess you could say, practice or vocation, so to speak, and how it is to best bring those together for larger scale projects. So like, for instance, you work in putting on productions for shows or stagecraft, who's a lighting person, who's the sound person, who is the seamstress for the costume work, and how to appropriately bring those networks together and make sure that no one is cut out of the piece of the pie, so to speak, with the grand payoff, and how it is that can be navigated with respect and also a to privacy practices and not compromise anyone's livelihood or even their personal lives. So that's what I was hearing, and I was trying to bring that up on a scale from what I have in the back storage, so to speak.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. It's really amazing the way
Thank
you
you, Milina.
described all of that. I'm kind of blown away by what you just shared. So thank you, Milina, for who you are and for your
I told Milina yesterday we got to do a podcast.
podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, she just laid it down right there. I really appreciate that. I think that's a great encapsulation. And, part of it, just to kind of tweak a little bit of what I heard and what you said, when you mentioned bringing the networks together, I see it even more elementary than that. What I see it as is when you're taking, so let's use the production that you mentioned, and you're breaking it down to lighting and sound, and you're breaking it down, and you're breaking it down into the nano actions that can't be broken down anymore. This person's going to deliver this lighting to this location, and that's just someone has to do that job, right? So, but then when you have it down to the nano action like that, you're naturally going to develop a marketplace of buyers and sellers for that. That's a distinct action that needs to be accomplished, and it doesn't need to be coupled with other different types of things necessarily, right? You're just going to have people essentially bidding on performing that, function, right? And some people are going to take on more of the whole group of it. So they're handling all the details internally. That's like traditional companies these days, right? But either way, what you're doing is you're laying it all down to that degree so that you do have this free marketplace at every different action. And then you also have people that are going much higher up on the tree and saying, not only will I take on being responsible for this one action, I'll be responsible for these 10, or I'll be responsible for these 100 or for these million, and that's how our society is going to start working. Is the bigger and bigger corporations are just going to be more and more responsible for more and more actions, but it's going to all end up down with individual people doing individual actions, not necessarily all tied together the way they are in current occupations. And that's the thing. It's like in the current professional structure, you hire a person and they're responsible to do 100 things or 1,000 things. And some of them they're going to be stellar at, and some of them they're going to suck at, but you're still stuck. You're stuck with the quality of work that they're going to do across all of them. Right? Whereas this allows it to be 100 different people doing tasks optimally for you. So you get what I'm saying? Like you have control or quality control based on the structure, the system. You get what I'm saying? So that's
Makes
kind
perfect
of
sense.
Yeah, it's kind of a way to explain, how we're transitioning from our current structure of the world into like this new structure.
Yeah.
Because again, individuals can go ahead and just bid on any nano action at any time about anything. Part of whether their bid is going to get accepted is what is their reputation score, how much experience do they have, all of those sorts of things. But those are all factors that people get to turn the dials on in their mission control when they're making their choice of which one they're going to choose, right? And also just to throw this in, because it's really important, especially with what you've been sharing, is that a lot of people's decision-making factors in the future is all going to be based on their values. That's really where I'm pointing all of this to, is that people's highest values, starting with the golden rule as the central value that all of this is based around, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That's like all of these systems are built from that. And then there's going to be all kinds of other values that people are pledging to, and they'll have badges for the different values that they're pledging to. And then they're taking actions and making purchases and all of that in alignment with all of these values, right? And they'll have, once they have these badges, then they'll be able to query the corporations, the brands, whatever, that match up with all of their values, so they can be assured that none of their dollars are going to support anything that they don't want, right? And while I'm on this topic, I'm going to go a little deeper now, because this is an important concept to share with you right now, is that right now, our capitalistic society is upside down, actually. What I'm actually doing with this is I'm returning capitalism to where capitalism originated, which is buyers and sellers meeting in a free marketplace where the sellers are there to accommodate the buyer's needs. So that's what happens, right, in a natural capitalistic society. But what's happened in our society is we've had these corporations get so big that we are forced to have to, buy their stuff, basically. Like I cannot today, as much as I want to, stop giving my money to corporations that are cutting down the rainforest, because like, how do I do that? Right? Like there's no transparency, and there's no way to know, which brands down the supply chain are, funding a company that's doing bad stuff. So what's going to end up happening, what's going to end up winning in the marketplace, just to also explain how it happens, the reason that we're going to be able to start to shift the marketplace is because we're going to be organizing in enough numbers that we have the collective buying power to be able to choose winners and losers in a marketplace. So that's really what's key to this, is that we're building the system that allows us to find each other around these common concepts, so that when we have 10 million people that care about this and 50 million people that care about this, and they say, okay, guys, we're now about to choose, the winner in the shampoo, category for our interest, right? And so then, it's even so at that point, it becomes almost like a negotiation, right? With all the shampoo companies, who's going to earn our business, right? Who's going to open up and make their supply chain transparent? Because that's where we're heading. So where we're heading is the companies that will be the winners will be the ones that make their supply chain transparent, so that you can know when your dollar is going to that company, that's then going to this one, that's then going to this one, and you can see your dollar flow generations down the line. You get what I'm saying? This is how we create the alignment between our values and the world we're creating, because right now our challenge is that we're all paying to destroy ourselves, essentially. We're all feeding the system that is killing us right now. The thing that I should have said, well, I didn't get to say it. I didn't get into the 30,000 foot speech yet. It's funny, I went down the chart. Let me finish this and then I'll get back to that. This out of alignment right now, as you know, we're operating in a system where selfishness and exploitation are the winners in our corporate environment. They are the ones that have the most profit. They are the ones that get the most investment. Like, those are the winners. And our society is set up to incentivize greed and exploitation right now. And as long as we're in that cycle, like, as long as society is incentivized in that direction, how can we expect anything else? That's like who wins in our society right now. So what we're doing in shifting this shift is we're disincentivizing all of this bad behavior and incentivizing good behavior. And the good behavior, again, is transparency. And with transparency, people can make deliberate, intentional choices to create the world that they want by making sure that every dollar of theirs is going to create the world that they want. So that's how we create this alignment in the end. That's the third evolutionary shift. I'm going to share the other first two now, but since I went into that, let me just pause and let you reflect and share whatever you want to share about what you heard from what I shared.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. The need is there. Definitely, we need a systemic, unrooting. I mean, the system is undoing itself, so that part is covered. It's demolishing itself, really imploding, and people only know half of it as far as how the dots connect with international geopolitical things that are taking place, economic warfare. Who's winning? These kind of things. People just don't know what's really about to come. But yeah, I totally agree. I took some notes. I feel like what's happening is the decentralization. So we're following suit with the decentralization that's been happening with all the industries. But this is more like all encompassing. I see, this is not a fragmented decentralization like Uber. They did it for their industry. Airbnb did it for their industry. This is more like all encompassing, and I think that's fantastic. I'm curious, not for validation, just curiosity as to your project management background, because I know that it just takes a lot. What you're doing takes a lot, and if you spend 10 years doing that, I just want to know, like, what were you doing prior to that, before you go into the big scheme of things? And was there something else I wanted to say? No, that's that.
Okay, perfect. I'm excited to share that with you. Thank you for asking. I want to ask also, because I want to make sure I'm pacing myself properly. How long do you have until, Yasser, for us to talk today?
What I have is I have a tornado parked on the corner of where I'm at, and I just jump back in it when I'm done. So, but it's spinning out of control. It can wait though.
Okay, cool.
In the moment, for as long as the moment requires, I love this.
Awesome. That's great. I really appreciate it and honor the resonance. Milina, anything you want to share before I share?
I'm curious, from a layperson's point of view, how it is you tailor your overall vernacular and storytelling expertise in order to appropriately touch each individual that you choose to engage with on an effective level, so that it doesn't just become a bunch of word soup floating around that is not cohesive. Because there are catchphrases that are easy to be utilized from the standpoint that have withstood the test of time, so to speak, that anyone can assimilate into. So what are you doing when you gauge the individuals that you choose to interact with that make sure your time is valued, as you mentioned, and that person gains something from it, and it can continue to be proactive and co-creative and also effective? And I guess that comes from your background question that Yasser also propositioned to your person.
Yeah, that's a great question. And all I can say is I'm at the very beginning of exploring the answer to that, because I'm kind of feeling like right now my number one job is to set up a lot of meetings, to have a lot of conversations, because I feel like there's only so far I can evolve the concepts and the thoughts and the conversation in my head, which I've been doing for a long time, obviously. And again, a lot of what I'm about to share with you has been shared in my head internally and, sometimes with people, but that's the thing, is that like I need to tune in to what people respond to well. So what I'm doing at the moment is kind of working on, just having different conversations with different people and see what people tune into and what they care about, and start to learn how to best share all this. Because that's one of my biggest challenges right now, is that there is so much to it. And I don't know, I'll show you guys if you guys can see. The solutions page is the summary of the 9 volumes of information. Did you see that, Yasser, the 9 different volumes?
I saw it. Number 4 was synergy.
Okay,
Right?
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. So, that's an example, Milina, of where back in December or so, is like November, December, January, November, December last year into January, I was working on creating volumes of information. I just started, writing notes and notes and notes. And then I just created like the summaries of the volumes as a way to be able to just like have people like get the whole breadth and scope of this. And it's kind of, I haven't been able to go back and fill in all of the details, but that's what these conversations are going to do. And I'm even going to have some conversations, and maybe Yasser, you and I will have the synergy volume conversation, where basically, I sit down with somebody and they ask me a bunch of questions about it. And that's how the content for, that volume comes into the world. And that's essentially what I'm doing with all of Uniting for Action, and what I'm doing with, to teach everybody that this is essentially what we're all about to be doing in terms of creating our reality. Because it's when we speak our reality into existence and then we share it with others, then there's an opportunity for others to start to chime in, and creation can even get created out of that thought without us even taking it further ourselves, especially if we have enough influence. And so that, I'm going to get back to that part. There's a lot of parts in there, but I just wanted to share that part of it. So is that a good encapsulation for that moment? And then cool. And now I'll jump into the 30. Oh, no, about me before the 30,000. Okay, so yeah, let me give you like I'll try to be as like brief as I can. Oftentimes I fall down into holes about myself, my life, my past lives, right? So I'll just say
that too.
So I'll just say quickly, born in New Jersey, moved down to South Florida, to Hollywood, Florida, when I was 1.5. And that was I was born in 1969, to give you some time from there. I'm 54 now.
Okay.
So, my parents moved, since South Florida, my parents moved to Pembroke Pines, Pasadena Lakes, in Pembroke Pines when it was new. So when Douglas Road was as far west as things went, for the most part. Flamingo was like the furthest thing west. And
I remember that. I'm from Hollywood.
Awesome. So I grew up in Pembroke Pines, and I went to school, elementary school, middle school, and high school at Nova High School, Nova in Davie, if you know Nova. So, and
Yes,
and I was a brainiac in school. I took all the AP classes. I got all kinds of credits. I was the valedictorian of our high school. I had the highest SAT score in our high school. So I was really, intelligence was like easy for me, basically. And I went to school. I won't get into the background of all of that, but I went to school in the University of Colorado with pursuing a degree in aerospace engineering. So my vision at the time was for me to develop colonies like on the moon and on Mars, and that was my plan for my future career. So I actually went to school with that as my plan for my career, and along the way, I kind of realized that the life of an engineer was not what I wanted to live. Like all of a sudden I realized that being an engineer meant I was going to be sitting in a cubicle all day working on one little component of one satellite that was going to take years to blast off, and then maybe was going to blow up, and years of my life were going to go to nothing. So it was just like I couldn't see, I wanted to be engaged with people in life much more than I saw the life of an engineer. So even though I ended up getting my degree in aerospace engineering, I never ended up going into the aerospace engineering field. So when I left school, I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to do. and I loved Boulder. I went to school in Boulder, Colorado. Boulder is like my spiritual homeland still, but I was in a fraternity there and smoking a lot of pot and having a lot of fun. And I just had to leave Boulder in order to start that next phase of my life. So I moved to Seattle. And in Seattle, I just got a few odd jobs to start with. I was delivering newspapers and I was blowing up balloon animals for kids on the weekend. And I was doing telemarketing, raising money for the zoo, the Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle. And I actually had raised money in high school when I was a senior, all through my senior year in summer. I was a telemarketer for the Police Athletic League and the Police Benevolent Association. And I was like their star telemarketer. So I was really good at that. And I was the star telemarketer for the zoo, so much so that they started giving me all of their high dollar donors. And I was asking members for a $10,000 donation spread over 3 years, and they were giving it to me. And so I was doing that kind of fundraising for the zoo, so much so that it was an office of 20 people. And at the end of our 3-month campaign, the whole office did $500,000, and I did half of that. So yeah, so it put me in a position.
You have a gift of connecting, it seems. Gift of connecting with people.
It's interesting because I was the shyest kid in the world. I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't even talk to my friends' parents. I couldn't talk to kids. I couldn't talk to anybody. I was the shyest person. But that telemarketing job made me learn how to talk to people, basically. So that was the blessing of that. Yeah. And so it put me in such good graces with the zoo that I told them, hey, I'm an aerospace engineer just out of college. I can do a lot more for you than just telemarketing. What can we do here? And the executive director said, it just so happens that our membership director is resigning, but you have no experience in this. You couldn't do that. People spend years to get to that position. You can do that. I wrote a 20-page proposal about why I should be the membership director, and they hired me.
Yes. Yes.
So I was,
Yes.
yeah, not many people know that story. That's really great. It's
That's
great
amazing.
that we captured this. This will definitely be on the website under that category of my life.
I love it because with that anecdote, it speaks of your, everything, your confidence, determination, resiliency. Like it's just, that action right there is, that's awesome.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. That's really great. It was amazing. At the time, the Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle, it was the second largest membership organization in Seattle. We had 30,000 member families that were members of the zoo. The budget was like well over $1 million a year. It was big. It was a big deal. So it was a great position, and I learned a lot. And they actually flew me down to the San Diego Zoo to learn from the San Diego Zoo, since they were like the cream of the crop. And so I trained for a day with them, and they taught me one of the most important concepts that I've ever learned, which is they had like 7 levels of membership. And what they said was that we never market above the next level for the next person. The only thing they'll ever see is the next level for them to go to. They'll never see the higher levels beyond that. We only want to step them up one at a time. They'll get where they need to go, but we don't want to inundate them with all of this. We just want to get them to the next one, and then get them to the next one, and then get them to the next one.
I just clicked so hard on me.
Yeah, it was a great lesson. It was a really great lesson.
Wow.
Yeah, worked really well for the San Diego Zoo. So it was an amazing position. It put me full on in the world of nonprofits. I'd raised money for nonprofits, but now here I am, the membership director one. I'm going to, meetings in Seattle with all the membership directors of all the other top nonprofits in Seattle. I'm getting a real, going to San Diego Zoo and getting a real crash course in the whole nonprofit world, and being in it, being a staff member in a nonprofit. It was the only time I was ever a staff member in a nonprofit. So the thing about it was that when I was brought in, I was told, we're going through a reorganization, and, you're going to see, other people leaving. Want to let you know in advance, you're part of the new people that we're bringing in. But then 6 months later, my boss was on the way out, so I was too. Like it went beyond the people he was bringing in. He was bringing in people to replace, but then he got replaced, and I was his guy, and I got replaced. So it kind of ended. It kind of ended suddenly and surprisingly, and I really wasn't. I was like, now what do I do? It's like I got an aerospace engineering degree. I've been, I went back to telemarketing. I've been the membership director now. Like, do I want to go further in the nonprofit world? Do I want to go back towards technology? Like, what do I want to do? I was really like, I don't know. So I actually went on a vision quest to figure that out. And the place that I went is my favorite place in the world spiritually, which is Moab, Utah, if you know Moab. So I went to Moab, Utah. Yeah, Moab is amazing. Google it when we're done and look at the pictures, especially where I went to on that trip and like to go to, which is the Needles district of Canyonlands. I'll show you in a little bit, or maybe Milina, you'll pull it up. The Needles district of Canyonlands is like another world. And so when I go out there, I remove myself from people and I'm sitting in this majestic nature with no humans around me. And at that time, what I was doing was, who would I be 1,000 years ago? Who would I be 1,000 years from now? Like, what aspects of me are timeless as I sit here on this rock, And that's what I really focused on. You mentioned how you tuning into your purpose. That was me really tuning into the essence of who I was and, what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And so it was really powerful. And it's funny because like the main thing that came out of that, what you see on the right there, that's like actually where I hike. Yeah, that one in particular is like right near the hiking trail that I was just talking about. So like that's the landscape, and imagine being out, totally away from society there.
My brother lives in Utah. I don't know exactly where, but he went there to stay with my sister. Then she left Utah, but he stayed, and he loves
Cool.
it. He loves it. He does a lot of hiking.
Cool. That's awesome, Milina. Thank you. Can you close that now? And thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. So in that space, what I really got was like, I'm like the thinker, like I'm the idea person, I'm the creative in my mind. That's what was like so timeless for me, the way that I was just thinking about things, right? I knew that I wanted to be a creator with my thoughts. I didn't know exactly how, but one thing happened on that trip where I was standing on top of this mountain that I climbed that I knew it was so hard for me to get to the top. I knew that very few people had stood where I was standing. And so I was like in such awe and wanted to share it with people. And so I was taking pictures with my camera. This is back in the film days. I'm taking pictures with my camera and I'm taking it, lining it up so that I had done many panoramas in the past, time. I had done a lot of that before, but this time I was going up and down and all around. And so all of a sudden, I had the vision to have, like video cameras that were facing in all directions that were creating a virtual view of where I was standing, right in that moment, and having the idea that anybody in the world, these cameras could be set up in all kinds of places around the world, and you could instantly virtually be in any place and turn your head in any direction if you've got a headset on or whatever, and see that place and just teleport all around the world at will, right, all the time. And like I had that vision so clearly of that at that time, and it went a little bit deeper for me, and I started to imagine like what was happening with virtual reality and all of that. Although again, back then it was very blocky. Like I shared the you remember the Dire Straits video, checks for free. I'm forgetting the first part of it now. Do you remember the animation for that? Money for nothing, but the checks are free. And it was a 3D animation. And it was like the cutting edge of 3D animation at the time. Milina, if you want to pull that up, that would be amazing. Just the video on YouTube, just say Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. But we have to pause the video before you show it because I don't want to get the copyright block on that. So let me know before you actually share it. But the point of it, let me know when you have it too, Milina. So, but the point of it is that technology was still so early back then. It was still so black. The idea of virtual reality was there, but the technology didn't exist for it yet. This is back, I should have given you the time frame. This is back in 1992 that I'm 19.
Okay.
So it's just like, you know, the internet is just starting to come up. I think I got on the internet in 93 for the first time, which was
Yeah, I think it was mainstream like at 95 is when it really got
exactly.
people had
Yeah,
access.
exactly. That's when Windows 95 came out and the browsers started coming out and all that. Exactly. But yeah, so I was early in it just because the people I was living
Nice.
with were early. And I was so early, I won't get into it. So
Oh, I think she's coming. Just go ahead, turn off the recording.
yeah, so that's again when I was having very early visions of virtual reality, let's put it that way, and I actually wanted to go into virtual reality, and I was doing a lot of research and all that, but I just wasn't gaining traction. I wasn't like finding a way to get in. I wasn't really good at, you know, at getting a job for myself. A friend of mine ended up referring me to a computer training firm where they were training people on Windows and Word and Excel, and you might remember those companies that used to do that. And so I started working for that firm and I started training people, and then I started writing some of their course material. I wrote their first web design manual, for example. And I actually they ended up transferring me from Seattle to their Las Vegas office. And I ended up being the manager in the Las Vegas office. So I was managing the office. I was doing managing, training, manual writing, and sales for the company. So I was doing everything and managing the office. And it got me really into the tech of everything. I knew it all, but also the owner of the company, we were talking about the internet, and I was saying, hey, we should start off. I was actually training casinos in Las Vegas on how to create their website. And I was training their IT people, and I knew their IT people were going to create really crappy websites. I don't know if you remember the early ones that all animated, you know, all crazy stuff. That's the best they could do. I said, these are professional companies. They need a professional website. We should offer those services. I'll train them to do it, and then we'll offer to do it for them in a professional format and in a good way. And he's like, this whole internet thing, I don't know if it's going to really catch hold. So I said, okay, I don't think I can keep riding the ship wherever it's going. So that was back in 1998. And right around that time, I had met the woman that I wanted to marry. So we got engaged, and we moved back to South Florida to be near my family where I grew up, and got married. And I started computer training or computer consulting A to Z, just my own company. But very quickly, like within the first year, I realized that it was just website design that I wanted to focus on in order to, you know, really be in my creativity and combine my technical with my creative. So that was, again, back in 1998. So that's when I started designing websites for clients. And I started focusing mostly on nonprofits and membership organizations and really helping them. And I was doing a lot of systemization, so much so that I built my own content management system. So what, you know, WordPress does for people today, where, you know, you just fill in all the blanks and it creates a website or templates for that. I created one custom to be able to have all of my clients use my custom content management system. Some other time, maybe I'll show it to you. I still have one client that uses it today, actually.
That's amazing.
It is.
Wow.
They use the one that I built for them and set them up with, I think almost 15 years ago, definitely more than
What
10.
industry?
I should show you their website. They are in the boating industry. They sell boating accessories and all of that. They don't rely on their website too much. I should put it that way too. But it serves their purpose. That's the thing, is that it's got all of their stuff. It serves their purpose. They don't need anything more or different.
That's amazing.
That's
great.
Yeah, and it just keeps going for
Let me
them.
turn off these notifications. I'm sorry about these rings.
Yeah, oh, I'm not getting it, so no worries.
Okay, good.
we're almost up to today. I'm going to kind of jump through. There's actually still a lot more, but I hope I'm giving you the kind of details that help you know who I am.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, it's going to lead to a lot of conversations. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
to unpack.
Yeah, let me kind of pick up the pace a little bit so we can get up to today.
Actually, no worries, but yes. Cool.
So, okay. So I'm doing website development. I'm creating these systems. Along the way, I'm getting the ideas where I want to create collective systems where I'm working with clients that want to create like a community calendar and a community map of events. Like I was creating that sort of technology. Like we would like enter events into the system and then automatically place a pin on a Google map and give you the ability to click through the detail and, those kinds of things, as well as the modules that I had built for my clients that had like, photo gallery modules and, maps or whatever, all kinds of different stuff. So that's as I was imagining all that collectiveness, I kept having this, being in this mode that you bring many together with resources and you have collective resources that you can create something that none of them can have on their own, but now all of them can have access to. It's such a fundamental, simple concept and yet really underutilized in our society. So much so, to jump back to today really quickly, just for a moment, like that's a very fundamental piece of the Uniting for Action system, is that it gives us the ability to find other people that want the same outcome that we do, that now we can just, pool into collective resources. We find 10 other people, 100 other people, 1,000 other people, that's 10, it was impossible with one, and now it's possible. And we're going from impossible to possible over and over and over again about so much stuff that we want, just because we're going to have a system that allows us to find each other and pool our collective resources together, if nothing else. And again, when you think about it, it's so like crazy that doesn't even exist in our society already, right? That we've had the internet for 30 years and there's not one place that we can go and find all the people that care about the same stuff that we do. Like, how is that possible? It's, again, we're operating at such a primitive level of intelligence collectively. It's astounding.
Well, we're basing ourselves on profits, and too much profits leads to a society that benefits from each other's problems. We're capitalizing on each other's problems rather than solutions, because we're no longer incentivized. I don't think we've ever been to provide solutions or fluid systems, especially amongst each other. Right?
Yeah.
So but they can't stop what's happening. I think it's inevitable, really.
Yeah, I feel you. So so with the idea of this collectivism, I started to go on this journey. I had been on a personal development journey for, since my early 20s. The first book that somebody recommended to me that kind of started me on that path was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
My mom recommended that to me.
So that was the very first thing for me. And as I took that in, I started to, get open up to other things. I started to be a part of an organization when I was in Las Vegas called PSI, People Synergistically Involved, as a very similar kind of curriculum to Landmark, if you're familiar with Landmark.
Yes, I'm familiar with Landmark.
So I was involved with PSI and went through their advanced programs when I was in Las Vegas. And then when I moved back to South Florida, my wife got I got divorced 3 years after that. I didn't mention that part. So that part of it, 3 years married, no children. So that was the end of that chapter of my life. And, but at the time she got a Tony Robbins, like 30 CD set, like 30-day set, where there's like 1 CD for every day and you listen to the CD, do the workbook, Unleash the Power Within, I think it was at the time. And so that also started getting me in that mode. And then I went to one of Tony's live experiences in Orlando, which was really impactful at the time. I really felt like he was the person I respected most on the planet when I was experiencing him live at the time. And then I went through Landmark as well. And so I did a lot of the Landmark. Are you familiar with the Landmark program? Have you done them or know people?
I am. I've taken a similar one I took in Dominican Republic called Vital Impact, in Spanish, Impacto Vital. And it was pretty impactful, actually. A lot of exercises that came out of nowhere. We were set up to. I mean, I can't even explain it, but it was great. It was great, and I'm familiar. And then I met a gentleman that completed the Landmark course, and the way I met him is because he found us as a nonprofit. Back then, it was Stars Outreach. We were doing music and talent development, and part of their, I guess, graduation project was to find a nonprofit and raise money for them. So that's how I got to meet. I met him. He brought a group, and they raised money for us. Did a whole party, and they were actually not only the same program, but they were a DJ collective. They went under the name of 6 Degrees of Techno, having to do with everyone is at least 6 degrees from blah blah, whatever that inspired that. But so it was a techno party. It was great, and they're still around. It's been a while, but they were part of that program, and ever since I've just I've noticed that people that take these programs definitely find something in themselves.
Yeah, it was impactful for me. I went through a lot of the advanced programs in Landmark, and I even coached one of the programs, and then even head coached the program where I was coaching the coaches. So that was a lot of training for me as well to go through. Yeah, to go through.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Yeah, it was really impactful. And since you're mentioning, the nonprofits and all that, I'll share, one of the really moving parts of that experience for me. So Landmark, the way it's structured, you have a weekend called the Forum. That's the first, weekend. And then you have the advanced course, which is another weekend that you do some other time. And then you have an SELP program, self-expression and leadership program. And that's the 3-month program where each participant picks a project, a community project.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and they, organize and recruit people to support.
Okay. It's a similar format to what I took. I took the first one, the basic and the advanced. My mom pretty much brought me in there. She made it all happen because she thought I needed it, and she had taken it before. But I did not take the third one, the final one.
Got it. So the 3-month program, what I did, and actually, mind holding on a second? I need to get some more water real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Actually, I'll do the same.
Okay, cool. Thank you for reminding me. Yes. So the program I wanted to tell you about, so the very first time I did the SCLP, the 3-month program, I came up with this idea to create a birthday party for kids, for underprivileged kids that, normally wouldn't have a great birthday party, right? So we would just pretend that it was everyone's birthday on that day, and they'd get like a really special birthday party, right? And so I brought the idea to my coach, and she said, "Oh, it sounds amazing. So how many people are you going to do?" I was like, "Well, I've never done an event, maybe 10, 20 kids, something like that." She's like, 10 or 20, why not like 200? And I was like, 200? What are you, freaking crazy? How am I going to do something like that for 200 people? She's like, well, if you don't do it for 200, what are you going to tell the other 180 kids? And I was like, oh,
wow.
Yeah, it really hit me when she said that. And I said, okay, I'll do it for 200 kids. And so I started asking around. I was on some boards of some different organizations at the time. I was doing some stuff with the United Way, actually. And so I spoke with my contact at the United Way, and she said, I have some idea. I told her about my project. I said, you know where I can get some kids? I need 200 kids. You know where I can get some kids? And she said, you know what? I'll give you the contact, the guy that I work with over at the Boys and Girls Club in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale, because they've got kids there. So I said, okay, great. So I went to them, and I told them about the idea. And I said, I heard, you have kids here. I'd love to do this party. and they said, yeah, we got kids. And I said, well, how many? Yeah. And they said, well, we've got like 200. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And so they said, well, where are you going to do this party? I was like, I don't really know. You have any ideas? And they said, well, we do have a gym. Why don't you follow us? I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So I follow them, and they brought me into the gym, and they have this, awesome full-size gym. And they're like, we can do it here. And I'm like, okay. So like that, like began the whole thing. And then from there, I ended up I had somebody, this was a big thing for the kids. I had somebody donate, I can remember, it was either $2,000 or $3,000 to buy toys at Toys R Us. So I was able to give like a $10 gift to like all the kids, like footballs and Barbies and all kinds of like awesome stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so that was a big part of it, that they're all actually getting a present at this birthday party as well, And I contacted a student. I forget even how I did it, but it was like a hair studio thing, but they came and did airbrush face painting for the kids. They brought like 20 of their students to airbrush face paint.
What year was this?
This was in 2006.
Man, I may have actually, I don't know. I remember something similar in a shopping part, in a shopping center parking lot. There were activities. Who knows?
Yeah, amazing.
So I may have dropped something off.
that would be amazing. That really would. I had TD, the dolphin mascot, came. I had a woman dressed up as Cinderella sing to them.
Wow.
We had actual Ringling Brothers clowns. 3 Ringling Brothers clowns came and did a performance for the kids. Yeah, we had cake for everybody. My girlfriend at the time dressed up as the Dream Fairy, and she was like the most incredible Dream Fairy. That's a whole nother thing, because that launched a whole Dream Fairy thing that we did, which was amazing too. But what this did, me seeing the joy on these kids' faces. Actually, can I show you a video real quick?
Please, yes, absolutely.
Okay, here. I'm actually going to I'll send you the link, because my computer will overheat with my YouTube videos lately. But I'm going to send you, what you're going to see is like the joy on these kids' faces, which is, it changed my world.
You're going to put it on the chat? On the chat?
I'm going to put the link in the chat. Exactly. Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, I forgot to pause. Good night. Hold on a second. Should have paused the recording. So again, I'm showing it to you because that was such a seminal moment for me to create this experience. I hadn't created any events, and all of a sudden I'm creating this big event for 200 kids, and I'm creating one of the greatest experiences of their lives,
Wow.
And it just was blowing me away, right? So much so that Lisa also was so blown away because she created the Dream Fairy for that experience. She had never been the Dream Fairy before. She did the whole costume and everything, as you can see. That because of the response, we decided to make the Dream Fairy a thing, and she did a whole bunch of events after that as the Dream Fairy. Some really amazing events. So it was just,
Nice.
yeah, it was just really, really super cool the way that it got me into this whole new world. And so Lisa also was very, very spiritual, had a really amazing background. I'll pause just because I don't like talking about people without them agreeing to be talked about.
Cool.
So back then, that wasn't a part of my world at all, any of this spiritual stuff, but she brought it into my world in a big way. And I saw in the, let me see it. I saw in the Natural Awakenings magazine that I picked up at Whole Foods, I saw an ad for a 4-day Qigong event at the Broward County Convention Center back in 2006. What did you say, Milina? You're on mute. I didn't hear you.
The Qigong Revolution.
Yes, exactly. The Qigong Revolution, and that was even before it was called Qi Revolution. I forget what it's called back then, but it was still in the early days. That was 2006, and I saw it. I brought it to Lisa. It was only like $69 for 4 days for the event, something like that. They were doing it really, really cheaply. And I was, doing my web design, all of that. I told Lisa, I said, hey, this is really cool. Or I said, do you think this is cool? Are you interested? She's like, wow, this is amazing. I would love to go. Let's go. And I said, I'll go for a day, maybe 2, but, I can't take 4 days to go. But I went with her, for the first day and the second day, and I was just like all in it with her. And we just had such a powerful 4-day experience in it together that we decided that we wanted to do the teacher training that they offer afterwards. Have you ever heard about the Qi Revolution, Yasser? Do you have any friends that did it?
No, I have not. I do not.
Okay.
Not that particular event.
Okay, I'll share a little bit more just so you get a little more context about it. Let me take a quick drink.
Yasser, I did it a few years ago with Avi as one of the people. So
cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay,
So we did the teacher training, and then we decided to do the advanced teacher training, which qualified us to actually teach that 4-day course. We went so far in the training. So that was like high level training, right? But what she and I were doing was we started teaching Qigong together. We were doing it every other week at Synergy Yoga in Miami Beach when Victoria was the owner there back then, 2006, 2007, 2008. And then we were also doing it in Hollywood a little bit, and I did it on the beach for a while. And, we did different events. There's another, I'll send it to you later, another link to show you. It shows us doing the Qigong on the beach with about 70 people, which was pretty awesome. And there were some big events that I did the Qigong at the time. I was, doing that at different events like at I Love Yoga and other, events that were doing like big events. So that was a really, it brought me into that whole world in such a way with the Qigong and with everything. But then, when we were breaking up in 2009, it had me questioning whether that was still a part, whether it was something I did with Lisa or whether it was something I was going to carry in, to the rest of my life. And I went and did another advanced training and, went a little bit further with it. I haven't been keeping it up as a discipline, but it's still a foundation for me. And I still, am working with the Qi in my own way, these days as I walk and as I exercise and that sort of thing. So that was a big push into this whole world. And then right around that time when Lisa and I broke up, I connected with a couple of friends of mine to create Expand the Love. Did you ever hear of Expand the Love, or do you remember
Sounds
that?
familiar.
Back in 2009, 2010, we had some big beach events. We started with big beach events. So like Lisa and I had done these smaller beach events, and then my partners, Eric and Val, we decided to do a big beach event together, and we had like over 200 people out on the beach. There's some really cool photos from that event as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and that had us start to do more events. And then the big event that we did back at the time was we did, if you might recall, if you ever heard about this, was Cirque Love. We did the Cirque Love event in
Again, sounds familiar. Most of my intake of that world began like around 2011. I
got
would
it.
say, like midway 2011 is when life started exposing me and bringing people to my life and putting me in front of these this energy and these events.
Awesome. Awesome. That was such a huge event in the community. What we did, we had Here to Hear. I don't know if you ever heard of Here to Hear or remember them as a band. They were really big in the spiritual community and the conscious community back at the time. And they were about to leave South Florida. They were going to go to California and go on tour and possibly leave South Florida forever. It essentially what ended up happening. So this was like their big send-off party. We created this event for them to kind of send them off in this big way. And what we ended up doing, we did it like Cirque style, and we had performers. We had a different performer or performer group perform with the band for each song. So they had different dancers, they had spinners, they had hoopers, they had, all kinds of everything. Yeah, it was really, really super cool event, really high level, awesome event. So we as a team started creating more and more events. We produced an Earth Dance in South Florida, a whole weekend event that was off the charts at the time. A couple thousand people over the weekend at the Sacred Space in Miami, and all the best of everything in South Florida at the time. Did you go to that, Milina? You remember it? That's so awesome.
I remember, yes.
That's awesome.
It's very
friend...
weird. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's fascinating to hear you recall your lifetime of memories that you've created in such a finite space of time, and how it has permeated and reached out to such people that would not have necessarily been exposed to such aspects, and how we are not connected, so to speak, with you personally, yet are via the various works that you have encountered and co-create with such a depth and breadth of personalities. And I think that's absolutely astounding to even be cognitive of at this stage.
Wow, thank you so much, Milina. I'm really honored.
Well said.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. With Expand the Love, we did some wonderful things. Val in particular is still doing a lot of wonderful things. Val went on to do the Zen cruise, if you ever heard of the Zen cruise. So that became her outlet, and then she's done a lot of things since. But we did great things as a team, and then when we stopped being a team, I started to focus. I still had this like urge to create and produce, and I was doing it with my friends. I feel like I've gone like way down a lot of rabbit holes, but are you wanting to hear this type of information about my life, or do you want me to skip over it to catch up to today, or like you tell me where you want?
I think that it's beyond wanting to hear it or not. I think that we're gonna need time for some of these anecdotes, because everything you're telling me, I'm finding parallels in my life, which is the biggest mystery. It's bigger than you, bigger than myself, is that what is, because my life, I've undergone situations. I could tell you similar stories of synchronicity, unexpected turns and situations that transform my life forever, and just we can go on, and we should, because these are going to be of value to people, because these you can't really tell your story to everyone, because if they haven't gone through something similar, they're not going to even relate, or they won't find it credible, but once you've seen the magic, synchronicity and divine timing, alignment, we can have an entire session about this. So if you want, let's move on. And and I'm going to add as well that I have to take a flight tomorrow, first thing in the morning, to Baltimore. And so today, somebody told me one day, work as if it's the last day before vacation. Try to do that every day, because in the last day of vacation, you're on full. So that's where I'm on right now. I have a whiteboard here full of things. Again, this deserves the space, and I'm not gonna rush it. But if you want, let's go into the program itself, and I don't mind having, like, I really feel like we can talk on a personal level, have some phone calls and go over things. Milina, obviously, welcome as well. We can do this all over again, and have more of an open conversation, because I do want to share a lot with you, because I
Yeah.
believe that that's going to lead you to understand as well how much I can really kind of like, with the story you told about the zoo. I'll do this, but hey guys, I can do a lot. I'll just sum it up in saying that I feel like I have an ecosystem to be able to test this, this whole program. I have enough players touching different industries and sectors, and I'm actually excited to see how it all can play in. And I have closed environments within closed environments. So one of those components is in itself a global NGO that reaches 3,000 students across the world, in all continents. We meet every year in New York. We're going to meet in February again, take them to the UN. They pass resolutions. These are kids, 9 to 15-year-olds. And the chairman of the board is like a father to me, like a mentor. I've been with them 11 years. And right now I'm their AV director, but my email is development at the foundation. So they take my suggestions, they've taken in components, they listen to me, and this is something I'm leaning to, thinking what we can do with them, and then they play a part of a bigger. It's just a lot. So I feel like there's a lot of plug and play in this. A lot of plug and play.
I hear you, and I honor and appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll jump to showing you the system, and I'll just close up what I was sharing. And thank you for what you just shared about where you're seeing to apply it. And I definitely want to show you enough of the system for you to get a bunch of the details of how the system works. So I'll just close, and I'll send you links, and we'll talk more later about these things. That I was in a mode of creating events within the community from that. And it was Energetic Planet for a while, where I was creating events as Energetic Planet. And I wasn't able to create a sustainable living from it, and had to withdraw and focus on developing technology, because I realized the community needed the technology and I didn't have it. I needed to build it. So I withdrew and focused on building technology. And then I came back rebranding as Higher Vibe Life, trying to go at a different angle to organize the community. The idea along with all of these was to leverage the power of the collective. It's like there's all these yoga studios and organic restaurants and massage therapists and all these people within the community, and they're all trying to do their own thing, but they're all serving the same community. Let's come together and work together synergistically and network together and share clients together and create together and all of that.
Absolutely.
So I was having events on a regular basis at those places, or with those organizations. I was doing Energetic Planet, and I was having regular events, and with Higher Vibe Life, I was having regular events. I could just never get over that hump where I was bringing in enough revenue to keep going. I really wasn't bringing in hardly any revenue from them. It wasn't sustainable for me. I could never get the critical mass that I needed to keep it going. The idea was to replicate that everywhere in cities across the country and across the world, to create a network of consciousness that would be able to help raise the conscious evolution of our entire society. That was the way I was re-engineering our society at the time. Was I was starting with the consciousness. It's like, let's start with the conscious community. We need both systems and we need a conscious evolution. We need them both. And so at the time I wasn't working on systems. I was like, let's work on the conscious evolution and then I'll get to the systems. So I did that for a long time, up until 2017, when I did my last event, which is a gathering of the tribes on the beach in Miami Beach, where we had a shamanic ceremony with like 20 local shamanic leaders, which was incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, it was an incredible event led by Lila Lotus. If you know Lila, she's amazing.
Yes, I know Lila Lotus.
She did an amazing job bringing all them together and leading that circle. And it was just an amazing event of bringing the community together. That's what I was doing at the time. But then right in the beginning of 2017, it was right around when it was right around when Standing Rock was happening and all the protesting was happening with Standing Rock. And I was seeing all
the
the
pipelines back in the pipe. Yeah, okay.
exactly.
And real quick, I have you here. I'm just gonna walk over there, put some coffee on, but I'm listening the whole time. I'm just 2 steps away.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah,
I'm
I'll
listening.
finish this up, and then when you come back, I'll show you the system. So the I was noticing with Standing Rock that there was a lot of contrast energy, like, don't do this to us, we don't want this. But I didn't see any way that people had the ability to create what they wanted, to declare what they wanted and work together to create what they wanted. So I was noticing that. And then I noticed it even more with the Women's March. With the Women's March, there was all this protesting energy in the country all of a sudden. And I went to a couple women's marches.
Which one was that one? Which Women's March?
The Women's March.
To the Standing Rock?
Yeah, the Women's March was separate from Standing Rock. It was the one that happened in Washington and all around the country, like a week after the inauguration of President.
Oh, I remember. Yes.
So there was like, I don't know how many.
Movement.
What's that? Would you say, Milina?
It was stemming from the onset of commercially known Me Too movement, which was the hashtag Me Too, to bring awareness to equity amongst the genders and the overall way women are being treated and how it is expected to behave or allow behaviors to perpetuate itself if you want to get into an industry. So
yeah, so the Women's March had like millions of women marching around the country all at once on that one day. And I was like, this is amazing. They're so organized. They've got such a database. Like, what are they going to do to organize these people to keep, to get things done in society? So I went to their local meetings to ask them that. And they're like, that's a really great question. Do you have a system? And I was like, no, I don't have a system, but I think I should build one if you guys don't have one. So I actually started building the Uniting for Action system that you're seeing now. Then back in 2017, there was a bunch of things I was doing in addition to building the system that I won't get into all the details of now. But it was in 2017 that I went from this idea that I needed to organize locally and then multiply it everywhere to I need to build a system that can be the infrastructure that can allow all organizations everywhere to get their job done. Because right now, for any big issue that you choose, whatever it is, you have thousands of organizations or sometimes tens of thousands of organizations all competing against each other for donor dollars and media attention and survival. It's like the worst way. If you wanted to have the most inefficient way to allocate your resources to a problem, you'd spread it across 1,000 organizations that don't want to talk to each other and don't want to work together, right?
And give them each a mind. They're each operating on their own central mind and not coming together. I hear you, man.
There's
I see it all the time.
Yeah, it's not surprising that our society is as dysfunctional as it is because of the way that we're set up to succeed. That we're not set up to really succeed. We're set up to fake succeed, So
yeah. It's competition over collaboration is some of these basic tenets of the society is that dictate, everything that branches out of that. But it's competition over collaboration, things such as punishment over rehabilitation, and these are part of our operating system that will eventually have to shift.
I'm glad. That's a perfect segue to the system. I'm going to bring up the system now because you said it that way. Because what I am doing is I'm figuring out how to design these systems incentive-based. It's like, how can we incentivize people to do the right thing, to do the good thing, to do the thing that, is going to be productive for our collective. And so let me actually say it that way, because I meant, I never got to the 30, that's funny, I never even got to the 30,000 foot thing. But let me tell you, like, the bottom line about the 30,000 feet is that this system is being created to transition us from a path of self-destruction to a path of self-preservation and self-regeneration as quickly as possible, hopefully while there's still enough time. So that is it in a nutshell. It's like, I am trying to turn this ship around as fast as, pardon the language, fucking possible while we still have time, Like if we still have time, we may be past, you know, several tipping points that are gonna, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like if there's any chance to fight, you're muted. If there's any chance to fight for a future, that's what this is all about. So that's the foundation.
I get it 100%. It's finding the way, finding the way. We haven't found the way, and we're starting to feel the way. Now, those of us that feel it and want to honor that feeling have to ground the way, you know, and then others
Yes.
will see it at that stage. You know, not everyone sees it in the same stage. You just need a certain amount of players to then create that, get that split, get that rolling forward, and then people will start adapting at a different level of development will click to different people, you know. But
Absolutely.
I definitely see it from its abstract form because it's the driving force of my life for the last 2 years is what's propelling your vision, you know. So
Yeah.
that's really the answer, you know. As far as the you know, and I had a mentor tell me once, you know, don't invest in projects, invest in people, because you know, with the right people and the right same mindset, then the project can become you know, what you need it to be. But it's getting the right mindset. And to me, that criteria has been pretty much focused on, are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem? And it's a conscious spiritual matter, really, you know. And it starts with how everybody lives their lives, and you can just see it in everyone, what their concerns are. You know, are you concerned about accumulating wealth, or are you concerned about making things right for everyone? So I'm definitely tuned in, you know, for sure.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. And I really honor and appreciate where you're coming from with that and the distinction you're making. And that's a great motto to live by with the people. And again, I'm super psyched to show you now like what this ends up looking like, you know, in the way that I've interpreted how to like ground it in. So let's pull up one of these pages. I'm not even sure which page we're pulling up, but we'll see in a second. So this is the story. So this is taking, just to give you some context, this is taking a moment to load because I've actually, it's working on an old technology. So the code is going to be upgraded for our alpha launch. Let me kind of just give you some specifics about this so you get, you know, what you're looking at and where this is going to go. The alpha launch is where we're going to take all the code that I've created that you're looking at, and we're going to have some firm or group of students or whatever it's going to be, and they're going to translate this code into PHP or something similar with a MySQL database or something similar. Oh, it's funny.
Actually, I believe ChatGPT can do that for us as well.
That's a very
it's writing code.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That ChatGPT might be the answer for that. So what's going to happen? I apologize. It's funny that I pulled up a page that I've got an error on. So I'm getting to the right page on that. So with the alpha launch, it's essentially a translation of what I've done already into code that's going to be able to run faster with a database that's going to be able to run faster, which is going to make these pages that some of them literally are taking a minute or 2 minutes to load right now will load in 1 or 2 seconds instead. But I have this system functioning actually, and the time it takes for them to load is just a testament to how much thinking is actually going on behind these pages. How much
I understand.
How much intelligence I've built into these pages. You'll see in a moment that there's a lot of programming happening around all the different elements, which allows it to be so functional. And the way that I'm doing it, and I think you'll understand this conceptually, is that I'm doing it to where you can load as many apps as you want into your current control panel. The more apps you're running, you know, the slower it may be, but you can scale it down or scale it up however you want. This system is like infinitely customizable, okay? So that from a user perspective. So with all of that intro, you know, let me go ahead and show you, you know, an example.
Question. And sorry about the camera. It was I was doing off-camera 420. I don't know how friendly that is on the.
Oh, that's totally fine. Oh,
right.
I don't know if it's up to you whether you want to share it on video. It's up to you completely. But no, if you're, I would say,
No, I'm at the point where I'm exercising authenticity. I've always kept it behind the scenes. Even my own mother, I can't talk to. But at some point, maybe not now, but at some point, I have to face that. Unless I just get rid of it, which that can happen too. But I feel like I should be authentic, and that's never been promoted in life. We don't promote that on each other. So eventually, not now. But my question is: are you familiar with WeChat in China?
I know the name, but I don't know. And I think it's like the kind of like everything app. Is that right? Am I getting the right one?
It's an everything app. It's an app. So the way the video that I like to show is one where they show a lot of examples of automation. Like, you call the dog groomer comes to your house, and like it's just everything's automated. It just shows how you can in one day everyone can operate under one economy and never leave the app, pretty much. Never have to leave the app, no matter what you're doing, ordering food. It's all working in automation, responding to your geoposition, and it's amazing. I'll put a video that you guys can check out.
Sorry, I just realized why this error is coming up. I didn't realize it was going to come up for us again. Now that'll get taken care of. That's cool. I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I think that's, like an important parallel, because this is the evolution of this system. The system, like you're seeing the system itself right now that I've created, but I'm creating this whole system to be like an operating system to be able to run any apps and all connected together on the back end. So this is in many ways going to be the everything thing that we're kind of running our lives through, right? And any like third party, whether it's like YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or whatever it is, they're all going to have their integrations with this system, right? They're going to have their own thing, and they're going to have their own thing that runs within the system. And I want to kind of like, this is inclusionary of all the existing businesses as much as they're willing to agree to what you need to agree to be a part of the system, which is to agree to the golden rule. And then from that will follow, all the accountabilities and the transparencies and all of that sort of thing. So I'm going to grab what you just put down here. Actually, I'll pull it up after. Should I look at it now or after the meeting? After the meeting. Okay, you're on mute, but I got the point. So yeah, okay, cool. So let me
just take it out on your free time. You get both of you guys.
Okay, cool. So here is the system in its fullest form. So this is the stories page, which has the full functionality built into it. And I'll show you the scaled back page. So what you see just really quickly, here's who you're logged in as. I'm logged in right now as Uniting for Action. I've got a couple of quick references to my profile page and my stories page. And then this is like the query bar. So right now it's really simple. Right now, the main way you query is you display whether it's story creator or others. Like if you don't want to see others, you only want to see the creator's thoughts, then you can do this. So again, imagine like all kinds of people jumping in and sharing their thoughts, and you have like all these collective thoughts, all jumbled together essentially. But if you want to see just Yasser's thoughts, then you can click on, change this query, and now it strips away everyone else and you're just looking at your thoughts. Okay. So
and you have AI kind of fusing the thoughts together, creating this thought community. Is that?
At the moment, there's actually no AI running behind any of these things right now. The way we're going to integrate the AI is the AI is going to be running analytics on all of the data that's being collected from all of people's thoughts, right? So basically, like to begin with, as you add your thoughts, so let me expand this really quickly. So I expand all, and you can see that what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be assembling a corporate team that includes, let me collapse it all just to show them. I'm going to be assembling a corporate team And part of that means I'm going to be assembling an executive team, an administrative team, a video processing team. These icons give me information about what I'm looking at. So the fact that it shows a dolphin here is an indicator that I was the one that posted it. You see a dolphin when you're the poster and I'm Uniting for Action. And when it's somebody else that did the posting, then you see a peacock. And when you see a third party that's made some comment, then you see a butterfly. And so again, I'm using the iconography as a very quick and easy indicator. You're looking at all this stuff on the page and very quickly you can see what are your thoughts, what are someone else's thoughts, what are third-party thoughts. So this is an example of how the mission control gives you very quick visual information about what you're looking at. So both the dolphin does, any questions about that part before I share the next part?
No, I just can't wait to help you populate that. That's always been that's the body of these are the teams that I have, is these people that I've been looking for, identifying, make sure they're on the right energy, right intention. So this is great.
Awesome. That's so great. Thank you for saying that. The suitcase you see represents the reality generating machine. I'm going to explain that in a little bit, but just to show you the options so you understand, and I come down here to the navigation, this is where I can add a thought or an action. So I can add a thought or a story or a collection of stories, and I can add an action, a reality generating machine, and a collection of reality generating machines. So like you can add all of these different types of levels of structures, and actually even that, what I just showed you, again, right now, you're seeing essentially the Uniting for Action mission control app is what you're seeing right now, because in the future, the way that we're building this out, when we get to our beta launch, any of these will be customizable by the app developer. So you can create any structure you want. Like right now, I've created like a fractal infinite structure, like there's stories within stories within stories.
I got you.
But people can choose, like, there's always this, and then there's 3 under it, and then under those, there's always 4, and then, I'm saying, like any kind of structure can be defined within this system, and then the app can be built around that structure. So I'm making it infinitely flexible so that you can understand you're not looking at the constraints of what we're going to have in the future. You're just looking at one application of the underlying architecture that we're putting, as a baseline, so that Uniting for Action will be one app developer, but Yasser will be another app developer, and Google will be another app developer, and everybody's developing.
So you're not only it's like that old commercial, you're not only the president, but you're also a client, pretty much.
Right.
Also, I got you.
Exactly.
It's like you're building United for Action within the infrastructure.
Yes, exactly. That's good point. Yes, this is very recursive at the moment. We're using it. I'm Uniting for Action as being the first user to show how it works, and maybe you'll be the second. So as an example to see, some of the functionality. So this is the whole tree. You can expand and collapse all, so you can see everything all at once. That comes down from where you're at. Right now we're at assemble a corporation. And then under that you saw, what are the children of that.
So each registered entity will see that identical template, right?
They could. This is the thing. This is where it becomes like really templated. Let me show you, like under assemble an executive team, and assemble a council of business accelerators. I'm not going to do it one at a time. And under select members, what I did was I made it really generic on purpose. So under select members, so selecting members for a council, first you research, then you create communication materials, then you manage communications. This is like a repetitive process of selecting members for any kind of group, right?
And so, the candidates are the users themselves, and it's just is it an open? Do you bring in the people you want, or does this become like a position opening within the system, and then anyone can apply and select what they like?
Yes, the latter. So it's where I've even built in the functionality. So what you're doing with this system is you're sharing. There's two different ways to use the system. Let me stop sharing for a moment. So there's two different ways primarily to use the system right now with the way that I've created the apps. So one is with actions and one is with thoughts. So you can either, so with the actions, let me, I'm going to do a quick aside so you understand like how it's working functionally, because I think you want to get to this level of detail. So what I've done is I've created this structure where you break down actions, you know, so again, using the production action before we talked about, you know, you've got lighting, you've got sound, you've got, you know, talent, you've got all these different pieces. Each one of those has a whole bunch of its own processes and it breaks down, right? So with the nano actions, you're documenting all the different actions along the way. And then again, you're having a marketplace of choices to choose from of different individuals or corporations that are willing to satisfy your need for that action or that nano action, right? That's essentially what's happening in this system. And because the system has all the data from all of the people that have wanted to complete a similar action to what you want to complete now, it gives you a whole range of here's the, it could be this fast or it could be this long. And here's the cost difference between those. And here's the quality difference between those. And here's the reputation difference.
Based on a project timeline that could have 50 participants, pretty much, taking micro tasks each.
Exactly. The system, once it's all systematized like this and automated as it's going to get, is it's going to get very push button, you know, where you can just say, hey, I want to do so-and-so, right? And your AI assistant hears you say that and then brings up on the screen for you, okay, here's your like main options of how to do that. Like what sort of time frame do you want to get this done? What sort of budget are you looking for? Like what sort of quality, like you are choosing all of whatever, you know, choices you want to, whatever factors you want to consider in making your choice. Like I said before, a big factor is going to be what your values are, right? You're going to want to make sure that whoever you're hiring is not going to take your money and go, you know, pollute something that you care about, right? So again, you're going to have very fine control over making choices based on whatever really specific data is important to you to know about those different choices. You get what I'm saying? And as you make those choices, then you become a data point, because now that you're hiring all of these entities, then you're going to, you know, say how well they got the job done and how well they were on time and all of that. And you're going to be a part of the data points, right? And then when a friend wants to get something similar done and they see that like your satisfaction level was a 10, the way that you got it done, then they're just going to go and hire all the people that you hired, knowing that you are really satisfied. And then you're going to earn commissions on referring all of them because they went to those people because of you.
Angie's List component, pretty much.
There's a lot of that to it. Exactly. That's like how the commerce works within it all, because, you know, it just ends up naturally happening. Well, I should say naturally happen because I'm creating the structures that allow you to actually have a marketplace at every thought is what's going to happen. So that's going to be built into the system. So the marketplace isn't built in right now, but there's some early parts of the marketplace that I'll show you. Let me show you what that looks like. Any questions before I continue?
No, I understand you're optimizing automation, and you're doing by a fractalization process, pretty much, that interconnects everything and connects everything in the back end as well. So yeah, no, I see a super automation.
Yeah, exactly. So much so, I'm going to show you this part of it because we've been looking at like this blowout where I opened it all up for you so you could see it all at once. But what I've done, and this is where you can kind of see like really where this goes, is we're at protect and preserve humanity and all forms of life. So that's like the overall why we're creating Uniting for Action, protect and preserve humanity and all forms of life. So then under that is the fly out of the different things that go into that. So going into that is assembling a corporation, Uniting for Action, as well as empowering people. So under empowering people, then I can do these other flyouts. And what you see me doing right now is I'm actually like navigating through a tree of thoughts from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next. And every time I'm making a choice, there are other choices I can make. So I can look in this direction for just a second. Oh, it doesn't go where I want to go. How about this one? Oh, here's what I want. So in other words, like you're seeing a map of the territory of all of the thoughts that are available to you in this moment. You see that?
Got it. It's a resource accelerator at the same time.
Yeah, it's an accelerator because right now when we talk about thoughts, they're just like we go from one thought to the next. They're in our head, they're out of our head, they're gone. But now we're about to take the thinking experience into a visual experience where you're informed while you're thinking of all the other people's results and data that they collected and directions that they went in. And oh yeah, well, you just had this thought just now, but it turns out this was first had 5 years ago, and here's how it's evolved in 5 different directions since then. And now you can see 5 years of evolution from this thought that you're having at this moment.
Now you're not reinventing the wheel. You can actually come in and complement what's already going on.
You can pick up at where the leading edge of thought is of humanity, and you can be operating at that space so that we're all constantly supporting each other at leading into new realms of thought, rather than all of us just rehashing thoughts that other people have been thinking and we just have no access to. We have no access to the vast majority of thoughts and actions and experience of humans.
So we don't have a bar of progress for things because everything's so fragmented. We don't really have a bar of progress. I could be working on something now that I'm, 5-year plan, and somebody's already, did it 5 years ago. And, my time would have been better invested finding out about this and compenetrating myself with that project. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and their project might have failed and gone out of business, and you have no access to the 5 years of work that they put in that you could be, building on, and they could be earning from all that.
And then you're also at the same time, in real time, you're calculating energy inputs so that you can kind of create the splits. Pretty much, it's in the real time calculation. Okay.
Exactly, the splits with the commissions and everything, because again, we're building it in so that eventually it's all completely automated and you don't have to think about it and you don't have to do anything. It's just
you don't have to do outside documentation. It's all telling you right there, look, you're doing this, you're going to get this, do you want to move forward, I guess, right?
You're really getting to the heart of it, is that where this system is driving us as a society is that we're doing certain things to create value for others, and we're filling up our bank account as we're doing that. We're creating value for ourselves. And then we're spending a lot of our time distributing that value to all the things that are important to us. We're looking at all of our priorities on our mission control panel and saying, I've got $100 extra. How do I want to split that up amongst my priorities right now? I've got 3 extra hours I can use next week. Like, where do I most need to put those 3 hours right now? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's very control panel. It's very like you
and
are.
As far as finances, is there a centralized wallet system, or can I just go in and open another bank within the sphere, within the economy?
That, to be honest with you, that level of detail is not where I've gone with my thinking yet. And I don't think that I even personally, I'd be somewhat involved in those conversations, but there's a lot of people that have been thinking about those things for years, and they're going to be having that conversation, and they're going to be the ones figuring out that part of the solution.
Okay. So the beta, that's right. Okay, so that's right. It goes back to the beta phase is going to be the development of the run, which is going to be United for Action.
Yeah, the alpha launch is going to give a functional system that you're going to be able to use, like the basic functionality that's there right now, and a couple of extra things that I need to add, like tags and channels and that sort of thing. And once those get added for the alpha launch, which I'm anticipating, I really want to shoot for like 2 to 3 months from now to launch the alpha launch. Hold on one second. I'm going to do a quick one of these. Lubricate my throat. I'm talking so much. So this is really great if you don't know about it. The
What is that?
herbal throat spray from Whole Foods.
Oh, gotta check it out.
It's really expensive. It's like $17 for this thing, but
Wow.
it is so good for my throat.
I'm sure it's great for singers as well, for musicians.
I was gonna say, you know, I'm a smoker, and you know, and I talk a lot, and I need to keep my throat in good health for me personally. So that's really helping. So just an aside.
Thanks for the reference.
Yeah. But that's a perfect example where in the future, then, you know, Whole Foods is going to be sending me commissions from all the people that click on buying that from this video, right? But getting back to I want to go back to the exact thought I had before. I just rate myself, and I forgot now.
Left me too. It'll come back.
Yeah.
Milina.
Okay, so going.
You summoned.
Like
I was summoned. What happened?
No,
No?
don't
Okay.
worry.
No, just to see if you remember where we left off.
Yeah, I forgot where I left off for a moment. But I'm gonna go back into what I was just saying in terms of like the
Then you were talking about the beta phase, and what type of access you're gonna allow for that period.
Right. The alpha launch is going to include all the current functionality and a little bit more. The beta launch is where we're going to go. I'm open to other suggestions. The way that I'm thinking about it is to actually have the United States university system and then the world university system, but the university system perhaps be like the trustees of the technology, working in conjunction with like the corporations, the big technology firms. I still want to talk it out, but there has to be some like public trust of the technology.
At the regulatory,
not even regulatory, and it's more of like, you know, owned by the people, so to speak. That's it.
Okay.
It won't be like, yeah. I don't want to go deeper into the details now, other than to say we're going to put the development in the hands of the world, right? The world is going to be showing up.
Because you're gonna crowdsource it pretty much.
Exactly. It's going to be crowdsourced, open source development that's going to be managed by.
Well, when it gets to, for example, assets, say for example, because you know something I see in crypto, you know, they sell crypto as, you know, decentralization of currency and unregulated, right? But then that information is kept in servers, and those servers are private. So there's a you know, beneath all the layers, there's still a codependency in the system, you know, and the electricity they need to keep, you know. So when it comes to data storage, and I'm gonna ask you two questions, because the other one that I had in the background, I don't want to lose it. But when it comes to data storage, what's the solution? What's the server option that you have in mind? And number two, is supercomputing, quantum computing, with, you know, part of the peripheral of this?
So to answer your question, I should have been like explicit about this in the beginning, but it's just perfect that I was getting to this. What I'm doing with Uniting for Action at this point is I'm heading us in a lot of different directions, right? And I'm providing the structure for the rest of the world to show up in an open source way, in a crowdsourced way, to have them show up with the answers. So the whole conversation that you're starting right now is going to involve all of the experts, all of the professors, all of the people that this is their job every day, is having conversations about this. For them to come up with some answer for that becomes what the system is. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. So it's the opposite of the traditional model. And of course, it makes sense. You want to release it as soon as possible, not assemble it and then release it. You want to release it for assemblage out there. I got you. Makes perfect sense. Now, are you operating on a traditional funding system, or is this 100% just everyone bringing their minds together?
No, there's definitely a lot of finances involved in all of this, like to the level that we're, my aspirations with where we're going with this is that, Uniting for Action as a corporation is going to be the largest corporation in the world by far, because we're going to be, it's going to be orchestrating all of these sorts of things, but it's going to be all feeding into the collective. So the ownership of the Uniting for Action will be the collective. So it won't be like me personally getting the money, it'll be the corporation, and it won't, I think what we're going to be able to do, I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to stick to this, is not have investors, or if there are investors, that they get paid off early, like at some kind of multiple, but that's like capped and they're gone then. If they cash
or
out.
It could be in the form of a business loan payable by the collective.
Yeah, exactly. So however it's going to be, what's going to end up happening is 100% ownership of Uniting for Action is going to be owned by the collective of society. And how that needs to be structured in a trust or whatever it's going to be, we're going to have the experts figure all of that out. But the point is that Uniting for Action is going to be earning a lot the way we set up all the structures. Just to give you the biggest earning place that I believe is going to be happening is with all of these transactions between where you have the connector in the middle and you have the earning that are happening. Part of that percentage is going into the collective pool of resources for Uniting for Action. So you're getting, let's say that you're doing a transaction with Milina, and there's the 16% collective support fee, or whatever we're going to call it, and you're putting in 8% and Melina's putting in 8%. So it's similar to the amount of like a sales tax these days that you each are paying on your side. So you're each putting in 18%, there's 16% total. And of that, like 8% is going to go to like the one person, if there's a one person that connected you to, or if it's distributed amongst a query or whatever, that 8% is going to go to all of that. And then there's also like the second generation and the third generation. So the second generation will be like 2%, and the third generation will be like 1%. And then Uniting for Action will be like 2%. So Uniting for Action will be receiving like 2% of all of these transactions that are happening across the whole system, which is going to add up to trillions of dollars per month, literally at some point. And with trillions of dollars a month going to saving ourselves, going to funding how we're saving ourselves, that's
maybe projects that people vote on, projects that are put out there for votes, for prioritization. Things like that, like global projects.
Well, a lot of that is going to be happening separately. And to go really far, like I can't even like totally imagine how we're going to be using all of the money, but it's going to be building the system out, building the functionality, doing whatever there is to do at the scale necessary to create this end result that I'm talking about. Like, here's an example, like, again, to go from self-destruction to self-preservation, like we need to clean up the plastics at a massive level, right? So perhaps Uniting for Action is leading some big project that's involving a lot of corporations and influencers and bringing them all together to clean up something. You get what I'm saying? So it might be something like that. I'm not even sure. Like,
we have in that conference in New York, we do something called, within the conference, there's a conference of a day. It's a 4-day conference, and one of those days we do the Youth Impact Forum, which is kind of like a Shark Tank, where we bring special guests that could fund these projects, and the kids are bringing forth, they're presenting, they're proposing innovative ways to save the environment, because this is all, that entire conference, the curriculum is based on the Sustainable Development Goals, which are kind of aimed at turning this around. I know there's a lot of there are conspiracy theories around it, but at the end of the day, we're going to do what we're going to do with it.
Awesome.
So I no longer see the system as corrupt. I just see corrupt people using a system. We change the system, so when it comes to like because at first, when I first went to the United Nations, I felt like I was being a hypocrite to my own understanding of how things went, like I saw them as the but I say, these are just conduits, that reach nations, and we could change what's being funneled through there. We can utilize it for better repurpose it. We can repurpose these establishments. So yeah, no, I see it. I'm sorry, keep going. I see it. I just got a little excited.
No, it's awesome. I really appreciate the resonance and honor that you're seeing all of it. The way that it's all coming together is that it's you get the general concept, which is that Uniting for Action is being the container to allow everything to show up, right? Like that's in the end, let's put it this way. In the end, what Uniting for Action is committed to, as I shared with you, is transitioning us as quickly as possible from a path of self-destruction to self-preservation. What's all going to be involved in that is really hard for me to project beyond a lot of what you're saying.
So you're providing the mission, you're providing the embryo of the system that can make it happen. And then everybody pitches in, and we resolve.
Exactly. This is the start.
We develop. I got you.
Yeah, this is the start. Jared is pitching this into this collective effort. Here's what Jared is pitching in. Here's what Uniting for Action is pitching in. You're going to decide what you're pitching in. Milina's going to decide what everybody's going to decide what we're pitching in, both to begin with and on an ongoing basis. And we're all going to be working together, co-creating our world in these collective visions that we're having. Because you're going to say, what I really care about are these certain communities, in the DR where I grew up, and it was really rough.
Filling in blanks as more people come in. We're filling in more blanks, different causes, different places.
Exactly. And when you just speak whatever you're focusing on, and it gets heard by the AI and it gets tagged, and now that is there, then when somebody else says that tag, they're going to see whatever you said, whatever you decided you wanted to support. This is the collective thinking that we're going to be doing together. Our thinking is no longer going to be an individual process. It's going to be a part of where the whole
and this collectivity will change. And I don't know if you've already considered it, but things such as lending, maybe, if I want to borrow, $10, now I can get maybe a penny from, what's the number? 1,000 people?
Yeah, you're right. Like the whole, like,
people, pennies. Yeah. So, it becomes, it's like almost like you're integrating every isolated, instrument that's out there, like Patreon. And they, even Uber can be replaced through the system, like because everything is interconnected, all activities, and nothing is being built outside of it.
Exactly, because in the end, when we are in a rush to save ourselves, we cannot afford wasteful money, wasteful time. Like, we're wasting so much already, and things that are happening outside of the system will be invisible to the system and will not be collectively it's individually benefiting people, but it's not adding anything to the collective.
There's a balancing act. There's a balancing act here. We're balancing, leveraging. It's leverage, like you said earlier. Because when it comes to transparency, say, for example, if I have a company and I have a certain cost of doing business, and then I say this will be my profit. So the breakdown of that profit margin, what goes where, all that becomes transparent.
Yeah. In the case that if you decide that you want to cater to the people that care about that, right? And that's going to end up being the winner, so to speak, in the system. People are going to be incentivized for that, because in the future, the more and more people that do that means the more and more people that aren't opening their books. People aren't sure where their money is going, and they don't.
Kind of like when you build a building that's green. It's not required, but if you do so, you get a certification, and you get recognition and reputation.
Yeah, And what we're doing, as you've suggested, what we're doing is we're incentivizing this good behavior, so to speak, this behavior that allows us to survive. That's where we point the North Star.
And as it gains popularity, then we're actually evolving and leaving behind the lower selves, you know. And we're lifting the bar slowly, letting the leaders have actually some type of leverage, because people that want to do this don't have a way of getting this done. Therefore, we don't have a way of showing that this works. You know, what something like this will allow us to do is create the proof and be the example. And, you know, before you know it, calling the right attention from the press and whatnot, and more people join. I see it. I see it 100%.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. And just to carry on that last point that you just mentioned, because it's really significant, is that I figured out, let me get some more water really quickly. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay. So, you know, I'm managing an artist without going much into it, and that's in the entertainment sector. I'm also launching a wellness supplement company through CMOS. I've already connected the artist with the brand, right? And then I'm also running nonprofits. I've already connected the artist with the nonprofits. So she's providing audio for a video special that we're doing. So it's kind of like I'm already in that muscle memory that I've been creating. And so it's almost like emerging into what you're doing, really.
It's
emerging.
Yeah, it's so perfect that you're saying that, because the very first industry that I'm going to be reaching out to systematize the whole industry is the entertainment industry. Like it really came to me with the SAG strike, because I've been for a long time, I've been understanding that if you want to move the masses of society, then the way to do that is to have the influencers that have influence over tens of millions.
We got them.
So actually what's that?
I said, we have the conscious influencers, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, because we're about to raise the influencer army, and the influencer army is going to mobilize society to move us very quickly. So it's really, really exciting. I'm going to move to Los Angeles as quickly as I can, so I can start networking on the ground with them and creating content with them, and really starting to raise this army right away.
Now, are you starting off with your personal network? Are you like lining up contacts based on your network? Or are you going out to reach out to meet new?
A little bit of both, because to be really direct with you, I'm in a real hurry to start raising the influencer army as quickly as I'm ready to do that with them, which is pretty quickly. Like I'm ready to go raw with them. I know I need to be a lot more polished and all that typically, but as you can see, like it's so compelling that it speaks for itself. Even though I haven't narrowed it down and gotten it really tight, like that's the process that I'm in right now. Like I'm actually, you know, and Milina is one of the recipients of this. I've been putting out these messages. I think you saw this video. You know, if you're a friend of mine, I want to offer this to you first. And in particular, I'm reaching out to people that have been, you know, clients and supporters of Uniting for Action, A Higher Vibe Life, and all of that. And basically, I want to make sure that I'm putting this in front of and giving the opportunity for everyone in my past to be on the front end of this, to know about this before anybody. And as soon as I finish like getting through that whole list and making sure everyone's at least had a chance to know this is here for them, because everyone's at a different level of accepting the blessing right now. And there's so many people that are so shut off. It's really amazing. But I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to let people know that there's this opportunity, especially as more and more influencers like you start, you know, really getting it, that the word will start to spread. But I'm going to network my way through my whole friendship, you know, 1,000 people, whatever it is, and then as quickly as possible, and hopefully have enough support by that time that, you know, they're already connecting me into people in Hollywood. That's essentially what I'm expecting. I'm ready to start. I'm ready to cold call if I need to, but
I have a great Hollywood contact.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's what's about to happen, and there you go.
Yeah, so because, you know, I haven't just been building any network. Going back to around 2011, I was only locking in people that saw it, you know, that saw what was coming, what the problem was, you know, at least enough to let it influence their lives, because that, you know, the rest is automatic. You know, once you go on that path, it can only expand, right? And it's almost like this is a silent agreement between myself and my entire network of kind of like, hey, whoever finds it, bring it. Finds what? Well, that, you know? So as soon as this is presentable and I'm, you know, we're ready to move forward, and I, you know, you feel like I've grasped it to precision, I have some key players. You know, I have some key players. We've been strategically in agreement that, you know, the time will come. You know, some going back 9 years, some, you know, where I'm just finding for that special occasion to knock on that door, and vice versa. And and it's a broad network. It goes into, it's international. It has teachers. It has you know, artists, community leaders, painters. You know, you name it. Government people. You know, public officials as well. Spiritual practitioners. You know, scientists. Anything you can think of. You know, and everyone is united by what we're supposed to do, you know, but still fragmented. And I know people that have duplicate networks of mine, you know, like they mirror my network as well. So this can have an exponential, you know, yeah. I mean, I don't know, you know, if you only need to double a dollar once, 18 times to turn it into $1 million. Right, it's crazy, right? So, you know, a few conversations, and this can be, I think it's more crucial that we are actually ready, right? Because you know, as far as functionality and you know, and that's the work you're doing. And I don't know what's your background with tech. Well, you did give that, but are you working with any other tech support engineers or anyone else, or this has just been you 100%?
Yeah, not to this point. Everything that you see, all of the coding, it's all 100% me. And it's going to be 100% not me going forward. It's going to be 100% other people. It's definitely not going to be a role of mine going forward. As soon as I put this in the hands of who's ever taking it, that's where it'll go. My programming days are hopefully coming to a very fast end now. But that's because, as you can see, I'm better. My higher use is in these other places, figuring out all this other stuff, right, rather than doing the programming. But I've done the programming to be able to do the wood chopping. I've spent months and months and months programming the system that you've seen. Not that I love programming, but that this is the wood chopping that's been required in order to get to this point, to go to where we need to go, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of like the people, thank you for, you know, saying that, you know, not just that you have these people, but that you want to bring this to them, and that you see it and you feel it, and this is the thing that you would bring to those people. I really honor and appreciate that you're feeling that, and I get that, and that's why I've been, you know, investing, you know, even just like going so deep into my story, is because I know you and I are going to have a deep and long relationship, and I don't feel like in a rush in this moment, you know, to get to something, as long as, you know, you're getting enough to know that, you know, this is the way we want to go forward. And I knew, you know, a lot of the parts of my background would speak to you as they are. And with this influencer army, and this ties back into the whole point of it, and it's really just a great, perfect example, is that when you connect me with your, you know, Hollywood contact, then you're going to earn, you know, 10% or 8% of anything that comes from that person, you know, to Uniting for Action, and Milina will earn 2%. And then when that contact, you know, connects with an influencer, and then there's some, you know, that influencer is having a big, you know, impact with Uniting for Action, you're earning 2% of that, Melina's earning 1% of that. That's where, like you said, it gets into stratospheric levels. When
this guy is great friends with a lot of figures of Hollywood. He's great friends, and this is like a brother to me. This is amazing. I feel it. I really feel it.
Yeah, and you're gonna love, you know, where we're going to go with this when you and I are ready to have our next conversation. we'll dive into the way that content creation is going to shift, and how I've already been like creating the actual proposal for SAG-AFTRA. Now that they're done with their strike, I want to approach them as a potential partner, because if they are in a business position to do what I'm describing, you know, they have 160,000, you know, actors and performers. So they're a big leverage point, but whoever it's going to be, content creation itself is about to take a radical change, because these systems, the whole systemization, the automation means that all of us are going to be recording things constantly in order to fill out our thought maps with new thoughts, because the AI will be chopping it up and putting it all the right places on our thought map. And because our AI is doing that, you're going to have a thought map that when you first meet Jared, we share our thought maps, and then we instantly get like a bullet point, like here's all the top areas where you know, are in alignment. Here's some areas that you want to know about, you know, that could be red flags. Like here are the people that you know in common, here are the whatever. It's like everything all at once. You get what I'm saying? Like what normally in our current world has taken years of conversations to know about somebody, you're going to have access to instantly as soon as they give you their thought map. And that's going to totally change how we interact with everything, because we're going to choose brands and movies and articles and people we're working with and all of that based on how much their thought map resonates with our thought map, which is exactly what you're experiencing with me right now. You know, you're getting all the thought map that I'm sharing with you in this moment, but this system is going to record your thoughts for years, and that's the thought map you're going to be bringing in every moment. You know what I'm saying?
And it's happening through voluntary audio capture. Is it capturing phone calls? Is it just taking in everything that's happening?
Exactly.
All the emails.
Exactly.
Emails
These are tools that we're going to have to integrate with the system. Obviously, like you're saying, there's a lot of permission aspects. Obviously, you have control over your own stuff, but like, you know, like I paused before when I wanted to talk about, you know, people, that it wouldn't be on the recording. So there'll be all kinds of rules and stuff to make
you're
sure
gonna have
that,
choices of levels of participation, right?
yeah, exactly. And
but you're gonna be incentivized to participate more and release
exactly.
more.
And a perfect example is like, I didn't want to say that person's name before because I didn't know if she wanted me to say her name, but then once I talked to her and she says, no, I'm happy for you to say my name because I want people to find me and buy my stuff when you're talking about me. Now this video, 1 million people watch it, and now she's getting all this business just because I talked about her, right? And this is what's going to be happening automatically all the time, is people are going to be talking about us, things are going to, and we're going to be earning like from our friends sharing about us, sharing about this. You know, we're going to have all of these needs. Like you said, this thought map is going to contain all of the want ads, help wanted ads that we have for all the things that we want to create. Our friends are constantly going to be sending us people to fill all of those positions, because whenever we do fill it with them, they're going to earn a commission. So we're changing from a society where we're all trying to grab what we can for ourselves to how can I help this person? How can I help this person? How can I help this person? And that becomes our consciousness. Because the more we're helping people, the more we're earning, and the more we're setting up all these streams of income and value coming back.
So the first, I understand that. Thanks for explaining it in that way. First threat just popped to mind. You know, because what's happened is these gaps within the economy have been filled by colossal middlemen making money, doing very little, just being middle people, you know. And these industries, the economy is going to pretty much end up getting cleaned up, and it's going to be a lot of pushback to that. You remember when Uber came out, you had the taxi drivers wanted to go to war against them. When Airbnb came out, the hotels associations, now you're talking about putting them all in the bag.
Well,
and doing away with it.
Here's the thing, is that it is going to be very disruptive for our society, that we're going from a society of how it operates now to going to a society the way it's going to operate with the evolution of this system. I mean, I can only think about it to a certain degree. The way it's going to evolve beyond what I can even imagine is going to be immense very quickly. But even in my mind, I can see that the way people spend their time is going to be radically different after this, mostly because they're empowered to earn in all kinds of ways that they like to do things, that there just wasn't a system in place that made it easy enough for them to earn. Even as a musician or a yoga instructor or whatever, it's like so hard for so many people, because not only do they have to be great at whatever their avocation or creativity is, but they have to learn how to be a good business person and manage social media and do marketing and do a website.
It's almost like you're adding the yang to the social media, because social media is already half of that component, because people are impulsively offering information. You know, there's just not a receiving end kind of doing, organizing that. So it seems like the fitting next phase of evolution for social media.
Yeah.
Except it gets out of social media and becomes something else. But I have a question. Say, for example, a well like Google or Microsoft takes a look and they say, "Hey, I want to participate." Can they only participate the same way everyone else can, by coming into the system and doing what they're going to do? There's no external participation from outside, right?
Right. You have to come in as a user, and you have to come in with, starting with the agreement of the golden rule that you're going to treat others the way that you want to be treated, right? And then essentially, and I don't know the whole mechanisms of all of this, but there's going to be, challenges and adjudications, right? There's going to be people saying this entity is violating the golden rule or the rule of
we have already, like Better Business Bureau. We're just going to get more transparent, more effective, and more automatic.
Yeah, exactly. Is that we're going to
more
create
responsive.
What's that?
That's more responsive, I guess is the word.
Yeah, we're gonna find ways, and again, it's going to be experts that are going to figure all of this out, but we're going to find ways to manage the regulation, so to speak, of the entities within the system, within the rules. But the bottom line of it, as you can get, is that everything becomes incentivized to follow the rules, right? Everything becomes incentivized to support people and incentive, like there becomes very little self-interest in doing bad things anymore.
What's the incentive for the CEO that's making right now $20 billion in bonuses, even though the company had a horrible fourth quarter? If his incentive is money, what's going to appeal that?
He as the business steward needs to follow where the client interest is, right? So when his competitor is competing for the client interest faster than he is, when one is transforming to a new green transparent supply channel faster than the other, then that one's going to be the winner, right? And
it becomes an existential conversation for them.
Exactly.
It's like Richard Branson said, the only companies that will survive, that will go into the next century, are the ones that have a purpose. Like pretty much everything else will collapse, no matter how big. There is no too big to fail with what's coming. I see it. I get you. So their incentive is existential.
Exactly, because like I shared before, what's going to happen is you, along with the 20 million other people that really care about the rainforest enough to make purchasing decisions based on it, that you guys are going to say, like I said before, you're going to pick shampoo, and you're going to say which shampoo company is going to assure us that they want all of the rainforest dollars. Like, what are you going to do to earn our business? Right. And so then it sets up a bidding process amongst all the existing corporations, like who's going to get this, $300 million annual contract, basically, from this group, this block of people that are now, purchasing together. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So it starts to create mass movement within the corporations, because we start to wield our collective purchasing power really.
Yeah, it's like a mass manifestation to a certain extent.
You're totally hitting the nail on the head. And because we start to get really good at massing together and purchasing together and massing together and purchasing it, and we're really starting to master this process of moving the markets, then again, Wall Street wants to get out in front of that. They want to be with the winners. Who's going to be the ones that can move fastest and keep up with this, community, and the ones that are, creating businesses to serve, these communities and that sort of thing. So again, we start to flip the incentive. So it's no longer incentive driven to be exploitative. It's incentive driven to be accommodating to, the earth and rebuilding the earth, all that sort of stuff. So that's how, again, we use this system to move from the organization of people around these thoughts, people finding each other, people pooling their resources, people taking collective actions together, and then turning that into massive collective purchasing choices, which end up moving markets, which end up having the markets being very responsive to the consumers again, because they know that if they get out of line, they're going to get slapped back, and it's going to, again, create a really short leash between corporations and the people. The people will once again have the power, and it'll be the people's values that are driving the corporations' decision making, and that's what's going to create a sustainable world.
I get it. You're empowering the demand side. You're systemizing the demand. Yep. And then let the supply kind of fall into line, and that'll straighten a lot out by itself. This is great. How about natural resources? Say, if I have an oil company and I want to be part, what happens then? Can I get voted out?
To be honest with you, I think it's going to be really important for a lot of those types of conversations to happen really early on, before like that decision needs to be made, right? Like this needs to happen during the alpha and beta development phase. Like you're going to say that's important to me, and I'm going to start to find people to have this conversation with and ask, experts and professors and people that are respected, and I'm going to start to have conversations, and we're going to post them here, and it's going to begin this conversation. Or somebody's going
like a puzzle. Okay.
Or somebody's going to watch our video and say, that's really interesting, I'm going to start doing it. And then they just start doing it. And that's the way this is all going to work, is like we've identified a need. Now we are open to the world who's going to show up and satisfy this need. And as soon as people start to show up, then the need starts to get satisfied.
Okay, so we will have our own built-in technology for that extraction. Say, for example, right now somebody's watching this, they'll probably just pause, touch a screen, menu comes out, things like that are all going to be intrinsic to the project itself.
Yeah. So much so that there's a lot I want to do with video. That's like a next level advancement. But right now I'm using YouTube as the platform because it is like the default platform for video. But at some point, we're going to have to work with some platform, maybe YouTube, but it's probably going to be some other platform that's going to allow us to programmatically work with the video, because we're going to take this video and it's going to be getting recorded by the system, and it's going to be getting processed by the AI in real time, and it's going to be populating our thought maps in real time, and all of that's going to be happening, dynamically with our recording device, right? So if YouTube wants to be in the middle of that, they're going to get to bid on being a part of that, but we're just defining what our needs are, and now we're going to see who shows up to fulfill those needs.
Wow. In 2015, I was part of a development project. It was a web platform. I think we should have made it into an app, but we kept it as a web platform. It was called Real Cost, and it was a combination in functionality of YouTube, eBay, and GoFundMe or Kickstarter back in that time. So you would, say if I had a nonprofit, I would go open a channel, identify myself as a nonprofit. My channel would have a video channel, but it would be interactive, and my constituents would be able to upload videos as well into my channel. So that would allow me the ability to create a campaign. I think back in those days, the challenges were big. So I can create a campaign and have it within a controlled environment. But then not only that, say if somebody uploaded a video and they're competing to win, they can go share that video on social media, and then their friend can come in and like that video. You can only, or vote for that video, but you're limited to one vote. If you want to give that person more votes, then it would take currency, and then there would be a prize list of 3 votes, 5 votes, and so you're raising money as you're having fun. And then the store side would be actually the founder of the company, my mentor, Michael Jacobson. He was in talks with Macy's and Home Depot, and what we were doing in the beta phase is they were issuing out, say, giving us 1,000, let's say, X number of gift cards that they would write off 50%. So we would get gift cards at $100 value, but they only wanted $50. Now, these gift cards were accessible to all the channel. And say, I have my channel now. I can go and place that gift card for $75 in my store, or any other product that I'm able to sell within the store. And now you have buyers and consumers giving $75 for $100 gift card that Home Depot already wrote off 50%. So the nonprofit raises $25 minus, applicable fees for the website, and
a great win-win.
It was awesome. Ended up being sold as a shell company. So, but it was, we had a great run. We were talking to NFL players. It was amazing. We had a launch party at the United Nations. Actually, we went to an events room there. We had dignitaries, and then the company was sold as a shell company. It became something else.
That's amazing. That is amazing. That's so cool. I want to share another thought. Can you pause for a moment? I just need to take a quick break for 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll be right back. So that was cool what you were sharing about that company that you guys were doing. So I know from you sharing that you've had a lot of thoughts about the integration with the video and
I was given a title bigger than my experience, but he made me vice president of development, and I was shadowing him the whole time. And it was a totally innovative process, obviously built within the system, not outside of it, but still, it was disruptive in a way. It's just that the investing parties just decided to go another route, and they sold the company. Maybe that was the plan all along, because I ended up being coached through the process to actually go public. So company went public. It's still public under the same ticker, but it's just a whole different line of business. A Chinese company bought it, and it's now they're doing technology, and but it was a great experience, and it gave me a taste, of the possibilities, and now talking about 7-8 years later, technology has just transformed everything and made so many things much more accessible now.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate the breadth of experience that you have, that you're bringing to the table, and all that you've got here. I was thinking before when you were sharing of the different people you want to connect with, and particularly your friend in Hollywood, and you mentioned as soon as the system is ready, I'm going to let you, tell me when it's ready enough for you to bring it to specific people, and that's kind of the thing. And you're going to tell me what more you need in different areas, because I'm in this place now, like I was sharing before, where I'm just ready to go. Like, I'm ready, whether somebody, if they decide they're not ready to hear it, okay, that's fine. But I'm going to keep knocking on doors at this point, because like, you get that what's here, the intrinsic the value is intrinsic within it, right? Within I'm sharing all these concepts, everything. So it's really just a matter of who is ready to recognize it at its current state of digestibility, right? And like we're talking about, there is a lot of summarizing, cutting. I've spent so much time, so many weeks and months just doing my best to really, like, again, summarize things. Like you saw, the 9 volumes was what I got out of my head when I started trying to summarize this. I was just like, I'm going to make a quick summary. Oh, my quick summary turned into 9 volumes there. Well, it just made me realize what it looks like to summarize this thing, right? To try to get it down to just like really top level, like a 1 or 2 minute video, like it does have to somehow be just some thin slice of this that then leads into more. But that's where I need to rely on people like you and others that have an idea of what's going to speak to this friend or what's going to speak to this person that we want to approach. And we're going to figure out what we need to say and how we need to say it and what we need to have ready and all of that sort of thing. But right now, I just want to go at the speed of light networking, because I've been doing everything you're seeing, you know, in my cave basically for years and years and years. I've been off of social media since 2017, essentially, for the most part. You know, no social media, no romantic relationships, and even longer time than that, hardly any friends that I've spoken with in much of that time. I just completely became a monk to be able to create what you see, and not just the technology, but figure out how to put all these concepts together in this way, right? I mean, you could just imagine like everything we're talking about was either like a day or days of just like thinking all of this out, right? And so now we've got it all together like in this format, right? And I feel like at this point, there's enough there that I don't have to spend more weeks and more months like trying to tease more of this out of me. It's like there's enough here now. Like, let's find the people that can take all of this and package it in a 1 or 2 minute video and can do this for us and can do that for us. And we just need to attract those people through our conversations and our networking and all of that, right? And as we get a little more sophisticated, like the next steps that are needed right now in terms of building this out, we need to start to have a team that can do the manual processing of the video until we get to the artificial intelligence processing. So that essentially looks like taking our video and chopping it up, chopping it up into specific conversations and tagging those conversations, and then having that, segment of video be connected to this thought in the system, right? So each of those nodes that you looked at is going to have, a snippet of video, right? Or a snippet of audio that's going to be talking about like what that is. And then that is going to give the people that are consuming that information what they need to know to either refer somebody or reply or whatever it is. But we use this structure to evolve our conversations, which evolves our society basically, because these conversations keep going until there becomes enough people aligned around one thought that within that group of people, there are collective resources for them to say, okay, we've got enough resources now. What are we going to do collectively together?
You eliminate the sale of things. Nothing has to be sold. You eliminate the having to sell an idea. Like, oh, trust me, this is good, because you're already engaging people that already have the same interests. You're consolidating interest.
That's a really great way of putting it. Exactly. We're consolidating interest, finding the people that want the same thing, letting them pool their resources, and then creating results. And when they do that, that's a step in the evolutionary process. They may not be heading in the right direction. They might have failure with whatever gets created, right? But now we know what's going to fail, and now those people can take another shot going in the other direction, right? Or there's enough people around
that it becomes trial and error, but trial and error in an innocent way, not anyone capitalizing on mistakes or perpetrating mistakes. Planned obsolescence. What the hell is that? Like it's like perpetrating. So I see it's a self-policing, but it's soft policing. It's not. It polices as it goes. It's not enforcing.
Yeah, and the great thing about it, the way that we're talking about it, is that when you have like enough people around a certain idea, like you can still have 20% go and try one thing. They have enough resources to try that, and 30% have enough resources to try something else, and another 20%. So you can have multiple evolutionary paths at the same time, with all of them intending to support the winner. When we find who the winner is going to be out of these different possibilities, then we're all going to align around that winner and go on to the next choices, to keep evolving and keep evolving as fast as we can, because we need to evolve as fast as we can to save ourselves at this point.
How many, do you have any visualizations, any graphic, any synergy maps or that can show kind of scenarios, the interconnection that people can have visual?
There's one, let me share this one animation I created with you. There's only a couple animations that I've created that relate to what I'm sharing with you now, but I'll put this one in the I'll put this one in the chat. Oh, you weren't able to share your chat. Let me see if I can play it without overheating my computer too much. Hold on a second.
Sometimes I probably have another 15 minutes.
Okay, let me actually pause it.
Creating a new paradigm.
I'm sorry, I just realized that we didn't record that. That's too bad, but continue, please.
No worries. Yeah, no, we're just creating the, the new paradigm, and it starts with disruption, but eventually it'll be a natural resonance. Some people can see it now. I believe I'm ready to have conversations with people as is, right? Some will require, that we take it to a certain level, and that's how all things evolve. So it's an honor, and I'm excited. It gives me, it's just I'm excited. It's I feel like what's the word? By the way, I learned English when I was 12 years old, so Spanish is my first language.
I wouldn't have known. You seem like a first language English.
I didn't speak a word, man, when I came.
Amazing.
I grew up in the Dominican Republic, but reinvigorated. It's my entire purpose has just like caught new winds, like a second wind. I have never abandoned it, but obviously there's levels of strength, and I think now we're gonna get to shift gears. I really feel it, and I've been priming, knowing what it was for. I've just been priming my situation to make myself. I think I felt like I was gonna be part of something that required me to do my part. And eventually we will all kind of do that, do your part and just show up, and not this labyrinth of construct and garbage. It's more like, do your part, that'll be enough. Things will surface, your skills will surface, your intention, you don't have to go climb Mount Everest, to be seen, That's amazing. It's amazing. I love it.
Awesome, brother. I
it.
totally honor and appreciate you. I appreciate where you're coming from and how much you're resonating with all of this, and how much you're ready to jump in and be a co-creator, because that's our jobs right now. You and I and other people that have come here, Milina and others, we're just going to find all the others that resonate, and we're going to start to create the world together, and the rest of the world's going to catch up as soon as they're ready.
Yeah, one of the ways that I identify myself is as a star seed. So I knew that there were going to be different levels of missions. Right now I was doing the 3-dimensional missions, and trying to do the best I can to sprinkle it with, with good intention and new paradigm vibes. But this is actually an application of the new dimension, So I'm all for it, I'm all for it. This is aligned with me, just like my dinner. So
Awesome, brother. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. It's an honor that you considered me, and I'm grateful for Milina. I know she left, but want to leave it on the record. Really grateful for her for having the foresight.
I'm grateful to her as well. It's great to connect with you. I'm excited for our future together, brother.
All right, let's talk soon. Just let's touch base, play by ear, and set up the next meeting. Probably until after the 20th.
Okay.
So I'll be
great.
Around. All right.
Sounds great, bro. All right. Have a great trip. I will see you later. Be well.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah,
Best.
you're welcome. See you.